cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off in the fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, crime crew on a Friday, 12:30. How's everybody doing today? Well, I hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about Rachel Morin, and it's been a bit of a political stance, which I'm glad that the breaking news is that the murder is captured, and we're going to show that he's being extradited. So that just happened. And so we're going to play backwards. We're going to show you, if you don't know about this case, I'm going to show you him being extradited. You're going to see who this immigrant monster that didn't come to the United States to make a better life is. All right. So let me just put that in there. Rachel Morin. That's who we're talking about today. So a lot of you might not know this, and it's 12 o'clock. It's like in the middle of the day, which is really weird, right? It's 3:30 on the East Coast. Hello, PGH Deb. And as everyone rolls in, hello. Thank you for being here, Bree. You're probably Davey's here. What's up, Bree? Davey. Carly's working. I don't know if she's going to be here today. Tracy Pope. One of my absolute favorites. Yes, summer solstice. Did it affect anybody last night for the full moon? Yeah, I'm in California. A lot of y'all are on the East Coast. Tia Dasher says guilty of crime. He'd had his Bel hearing today. I'm headed over to the trial as we speak. That's amazing. So I'm gonna start off with showing that, and then I'll tell the story a bit. So we'll jump around because breaking news, and thank you, Tia Decipher, for saying that. I'm going to start off with showing that this monster was extradited actually yesterday, and that's awesome that they're doing the Bel hearing today. I wonder if we could find that right after I hop onto this. This is got me logged in on one spot and not the other. You know how YouTube does. So I'm glad everybody's here. Hello, Marissa. So we get lots of rain. Can you cover the Houston immigrant girl? I did. Oh, the Houston. Yeah, I am. Houston immigrant murder. Well, you have to tell me what that is, and we can. You'd have to email me guiltyofcrime by j@gmail.com. Let's get this started. I don't know why I was logged into the wrong spot, which always puts a damper and things. So why is it saying for me to log in? I don't know. All right, but we're talking about Rachel Morin. She was this was over a year, and this monster was running around just literally not doing anything useful. And not only was he not doing anything useful, he was committing more crimes. So see if I could. I don't know. I might have to log into a different why are they asking me to sign in? Okay. Well, while you guys are rolling in, I'm going to sign in because for some reason this signed me out of YouTube and now they want me in. So I'm going to do that. I don't know what happened in between earlier and now, but hello, crime crew and everybody that is rolling in on this today. Here, it's a beautiful Friday. I don't know about for y'all. I know some people have storms going on, and that's not how it is here. So I wish I could switch over to YouTube. Please get in touch with me if you need anything. I am local and have connections. Guilty of crime, happy to help. We're friends with many family and friends. I would love to do that, Tia Dash. I've been trying to cover this case for a year, and then Grizzly True Crime covered it and said everything she needed to. But then I realized breaking news today and yesterday, I said, I need to cover this because I'm covering the Lake and Riley case as well, and similar circumstances. Lake and Riley is a 22-year-old American nursing student that was her life was taken while she was jogging at the University of Georgia. That's in my playlist. And it was from an immigrant. So again, it got political. All right. So politics, when that comes into place, you know how that goes, right? Then we get into all these things. All right. I'm going to try to pull up my other channel or my Google space, because this is being crazy right now. It's wanting to download everything, and my internet's been real weird today. So hang in there. Hopefully people roll in, and as you roll in, then I'll start telling a story. I'm sorry that my internet's being weird, and so are all my downloads and things. It's like I never downloaded them, even though I did. I downloaded the whole dang thing, and it's acting like I didn't. So that being said, let me see if I can at least pull up a picture of Rachel while I know that I downloaded all these things. And where did they go? I don't know. All right, let me see. I'm sorry about that, folks. Let me check out my downloads on this. Okay, I do have them. I'm going to start with this just because I got thrown off by this crazy YouTube thing. All right, so Rachel Morin suspect was not only caught, but he was extradited. So let's talk about this first. Suspect extradited, and it says it's still working on it. So I'm sorry, folks, that that happens. We'd be happy to share. My email is below. Been watching for a bit. Coverage is solid. Thank you. I would love to hear more information and get more people following this particular case. So my email's below. And is that what it is? YouTube's doing a bunch of updates. Yeah. Well, I know this case is very important to get out, along with the Lake and Riley case. It it hits too close to home when a immigrant that comes in here and it's not trying to do better and does something to Rachel Morin, who was a mother of 5, just found her love, and she was going to get married. I don't think she did. I think it was her fiance, and I'll get to the story in a minute. Let's watch this guy being extradited to Maryland. We'll see who this monster is, and then we'll get into the story. Now that this is
Department of Homeland Security showing 37-year-old Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez in handcuffs. He is the man accused of killing Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 from Maryland who went missing last August after simply going out for a walk. Martinez-Hernandez arrested last week and extradited from Oklahoma to Maryland today, seen here entering a small plane with government agents alongside in close watch. Now, Rachel Morin's family tells News Nation they spoke today with Donald Trump. Her mother saying in a statement, in part, quote, "I am deeply touched by President Trump's kindness and concern. He was genuine and truly wanted to know how our family was coping." Moments ago, the White House responding, saying, quote, "We extend our deepest condolences to the family," end quote. But they cannot comment, they say, on an active law enforcement case. Now, we know that Martinez-Hernandez tried on 3 different occasions to enter the country last year through the southern border. Tonight, news.
Now, this is crazy because when something like this happens, it starts to become a political thing. What's up? I can't even say your name today. We'll just say Seakin Ireland. All right. I'm glad you received the book today. That's awesome. I was hoping everybody did. Everybody should have gotten it today. But, okay. So this case, Rachel Morin and Lake and Riley are very similar in that they're 2 women that were, beautiful, as you can see, and you'll see in a bit. They were doing good things. We're here in the United States, and there's a lot of criminals already in the U.S., okay? And immigrants, if you come here to work and you come here to do good and you come here to go to school and get all the benefits, no problem with me. But when you come here and you're doing what this monster did and the Lake and Riley case, then I say do what you got to do with them, all right?
News Nation is learning how he was turned away, as there are real questions regarding how he then got in the 4th time. Our Allie Bradley, live along the southern border with some of those answers. Allie?
Yeah, hey, Blake. So what we know here is that Victor Martinez-Hernandez was actually in the country 3 separate times within just 3 weeks and subsequently removed under the Trump-era COVID policy that we know as Title 42. So how does that happen? 3 times removed within 3 weeks. While under Title 42, the process was extremely different. It was extremely quick and, yes, very easy, both for law enforcement and apparently for people trying to enter the country illegally. So this removal process was the premier removal process used for several years, and it only takes about 90 minutes to remove someone under Title 42. It's noted on their file, but they aren't charged with illegal entry or illegal reentry. So the recidivism rate was pretty high here with Title 42, meaning people removed came back often because there weren't really consequences, kind of a slap on the wrist, if you will. Now, sources confirm that Martinez-Hernandez entered the 4th time, and he was able to successfully evade. He remained undetected. He was not touched by Border Patrol on February 13, 2023, when he ultimately had success entering in the El Paso area illegally. Now, all of the times that he entered the country were all through the El Paso sector. Now, Title 42 went away in May of 2023. Title 8, that is the premier removal authority. It was also the removal authority well before Title 42 was ever used. Now, if Title 42 was not in place and Title 8 was used like it should have been there, he would have been flagged for illegal entry. He would have been fined $5,000.
All right, so there he is, and in a bit, I'm going to show his face. I'm going to show it who he is. We're going to expose this guy. We're going to go back to the beginning now. This is a little boring here when you're watching the news and you start hearing about Trump if you're not into politics, and I'm not trying to make this political, but they are pretending like they care, Davey, when you get a call from Donald Trump himself, and then the White House calls, and like, I need to jump on it, right? So that's not what this is about. This is about a young mother of 5. Thank you for becoming a new member here today, PGH. It's a young mother of 5 that was trying to do better than ever before. Nothing was wrong with her. She was just doing better. She was about to get married, and this happened. And it happens all too often that they come here to commit murders, commit crimes. He also essayed a 9-year-old and her mom. It was either a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old. We're going to hear about that. And that is how he got caught, because he left his hat at their house after essaying both of them. He walked out of the front door. So if you're not familiar with this case, you're going to be familiar with it. We're going to go through the whole thing. Proud American, America's before illegal aliens. Let's go, Brandon. Hashtag FJB. Whatever that is, let's get these guys out of our country. And yeah, let's keep arresting these guys, extraditing them, and getting them out of our country. I don't think we should even spend a dime on jailing them in our system.
$1,000, and he would have been ineligible for asylum and removed. So sources say he did have an Interpol flag here. The problem there was that this Interpol flag was connected to that murder conviction in El Salvador, but it came about 7 months later, Blake. So that's a huge problem because it all impacts each other, right? More people coming in, the system is being used, the system is backlogging. Unfortunately, that's happening. So these flags are coming late, and then ICE is going and having to find them and remove them. That's the situation that happened here as well, Blake.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get
News Nation. So we're going to stop sharing that for a minute. Let me get out of here. Yeah, everything just like updated on me while I was waiting here. So unfortunately, I don't know why it did that to me, but I apologize, folks. I promise I had everything ready for you, and then it did that to me. All right, I'm going to pull up a picture and then I'll read while it decides it wants to update or not, because it is updating, but it's didn't do any of the stuff that I wanted it to do. It's just kind of all over the place. So I do have a list of what I want, and let me do this. Let me pull up the collage I have of her. We'll show him. I'll talk about the timeline, and then I'll queue up the next video for you that explains it, shows the images and everything else. This is I used the wrong browser, folks. My bad. And if I get out of here, I'm glad you're late because I'm all over the place right now. And it's going to be this will be timestamped, so it's good. You're late. You didn't miss anything. We can absolutely force the country to take them back, and I hope we do. Let me pull up a picture of Rachel, and then you'll see the capture. You'll see him, the capture. There it is. Open it up. You can see that it's this guy here. First, let's show her so you all know, I'm sure, you're familiar with this face. I'm sure you're familiar with her face because this has been going on for a long time. That's okay. It's good that you are, Adam. It's hard for there is not to be a political immigration. It's just a political button. Good for you, Jay, for keeping it unbiased. Absolutely. I am keeping it unbiased. I don't think, I don't want to get into anything political. I just want this guy to go where he should and be in jail forever and not for us not to have to pay. In this video of him going out the door, who shuts the door behind him? He looks like he's smiling. I'm sure he is. So let's look at this and I'll tell you the quick story of it. And I want you to see his capture face. He's actually smiling in this picture. And this is a similar hat to what he had on when he went and essayed a mother and her 9-year-old daughter. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's either 9 or 6. That's how disgusting this guy is. Okay. So I want you to know, Victor Hernandez, he has like 4 names. I don't really care what his name is. What I care for is justice for Rachel. But I do want you to see he was captured. I'm going to tell you the backstory really quickly, just so you can get the timeline, and then we're going to get on to it. There's a lot to share today. There's a big show because this was already happening a year ago. Okay. This had happened and nobody was caught for it. So here we are. I want you to look at the pictures. I'm going to tell you a story while you're coming in and saying justice for Rachel. Everything seems to be working on my side now. Thank you all for being here. Yes, such a creepy guy. The cost of cheap labor. Yeah, this guy, I don't even know if he was working, to be honest with you. I think this guy was just running around committing murders. Rachel, beautiful Rachel Morin, went on a walk on a trail, which scares me because my mom does that every day. She goes on this one trail and goes for a walk, and she comes back and she says, "Oh, I just did 7 miles." And she's going to be 70. And so it scares the crap out of me, folks. Hit that like button if you also don't want these immigrants that are committing crimes to be in our country and you don't think that we should have them here. Yeah, this is political, but I'm not trying to make it political and have people telling me anything about. I don't want to talk about politics. I want this guy to stay extradited and then get out of the country. He was extradited from one place to another, but he's still in our country. You're not missing anything. Today I'm doing 12:30. Today is Friday, so you didn't miss anything. I just came on early and I let everyone know yesterday. All right, close all gaps. Agreed. All right, so let me tell you this story and then we'll move on. This Rachel Morin is she was 37 years old, folks. She's beautiful. She's a 37-year-old mother of 5 from Maryland, and she met a tragic fate while she was hiking near her home. She just went out for a quick walk, and her life was taken on August 6th, 2023. So this has been, we're in June of 2024. This has been almost a year. It's called the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland. Okay, so the trail typically considered to be safe became the site of a brutal crime. Okay, he S8'd her and he beat her face in, folks. He not only took her life, but he beat her face in so that you couldn't recognize her. She was identified as a victim of a homicide, violent homicide. There's a nationwide manhunt. Authorities launched after this. The case led detectives to Southern California and South America. So he did this in Southern California. He left his hat at the crime scene, and this is what led to his arrest. After months of searching for genetic genealogy, which played a crucial role, DNA evidence eventually led investigators to a suspect. And this suspect that you see his ugly face is Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez. He's 23 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And just before midnight on June 15th, so this was 6 days ago, he was charged with first-degree murder and first-degree essay in connection with Morin's passing. Okay, thank you all for being here. Before I continue with the timeline, and then I'll play some videos for you so we can talk about it. Oh no, my mom gets walking partners and I buy her, the stun guns and all that. Even though they say it's not legal, I do it all. So All right, folks. I worry too. People take their children there. Yeah, if you're a local and you know. Both political parties are responsible. You say letting unvetted people. Yeah, we don't. I'm not trying to make this political at all. I just want this guy to be put where he's supposed to be and not here. What's up, Juror 13? All right, let me tell you the timeline, and then we'll get into a Vinny video that her sister talks. Some of the family talks. We're going to talk about the genetic or genial DNA, and how it's called familial DNA. How they caught this guy with familial DNA. What's up, Fire Opal? I get a lot of new people coming when I come during the day, which is really cool to have new subscribers and new people realizing that I'm here. When I'm on the same time all the time, people don't realize it. Eileen Driscoll, he also murdered in El Salvador as well. He did, and we're going to get to that. Thank you for sharing that. He is just a bad guy, and he was coming back and forth, and that's an understatement for me to say he's a bad guy. It was confirmed today that the monster was renting a house or an apartment in Oklahoma. Yes, and he's being extradited today, which I just played. I might play it again because I think everybody rolled in and I missed things and my YouTube updated. I don't know, a bunch of weird stuff, but here it is. Thank you. Thank you for all sharing. There's a lot of people that are following this case, but not a lot of people on my channel are following this case for me. So here we are. Okay, let me just tell you real quick. So August 5th, 2023, Morin was reported missing by her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is who I showed you here. He was actually a suspect at first, this guy. He was a suspect, and you know how that goes. You know, suspects are usually the person that's dating somebody. I didn't mean to do that. The person that's dating a boyfriend or a husband or a wife. All right. Godspeed. He was also flagged for drug trafficking. Yes, yes. We're going to get into all that drug trafficking, gang activity. They think this is how he got in and out and made money. What a wake of devastation this trash has left. Trash he is. Yes, he was doing all of it. So as he was doing that, he was selling, trafficking, doing, and then creating crimes all the way through, folks. YouTube messing up stuff. Yeah, YouTube is messing stuff up today. It is. It's like downloading things when I don't want it to, and the things I downloaded aren't there. Oh, there's a lag today too. Okay. Yeah, well, it's just one of those days, but Lake and Riley and Rachel Morin, justice for them. Hit the thumbs up so you can get in the algorithm so that when I do streams that are before my normal time, you will get a notification. Yeah, presidential election year. Yeah, I don't love them. Thanks, Adam. 111. Normally we have like hundreds of people in chat, so it's nice to have 111, which is an angel number. Let's pray for Rachel Morin and complete and utter justice for all of the victims of this monster. Immigrant monster is what we're going to call him. His name's Antonio something, and I don't really care particularly about him. So they thought the boyfriend was, he was a suspect at first. Morin's body was discovered near the Mom Paw Trail on October 6th, so the day after. She went for a walk, reported missing, and it took them like a day to find her because they knew where she went. Then, August 9th, authorities released a video of a man in California believed to be Morin's killer. So 4 days later, he went to Southern California and he SA'd a mother and daughter. On August 17, 2023, DNA evidence linked Morin's suspect to the man who assaulted a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in Southern California. Now, September 7, 2023, the investigation continued with authorities collecting footage and the trail going, kept going. The parents hired somebody to look, a private eye. Thank you, Naomi, for the super sticker. I appreciate you all. Thank everybody for being here. We're on that 111, and it's an angel number, so we're all here for Rachel. And when you see this next video, it's actually it's sad, but then it also makes you smile at the same time. So it's a very It's an interesting video. Okay, hold on. Let me everything got messed up. So the way I normally run the show is like bam, bam, bam. And this time it didn't do what I wanted to. And so that's okay. I'll just work my way through it. Rachel Morin. No, that's not it. Let's go. I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay. I downloaded it and it's being stupid. All right. This is perfect. This is it. I had already downloaded it and now it's asking me if I want to download it again. So I guess I'll have to download it again, folks. Thank you for being here. I'm going to keep this window open so I don't have a problem. I have no idea why it's making me download it again. But, oh well, we're here. And you can see who we're talking about. And you guys are amongst yourselves talking. No, it's not. All right, I'm totally fine with coming to your show. Nice to meet you. Let's talk about this little girl. Yeah, we're going to talk about it right now. I feel sorry for her. God bless her babies, too. Now, this lady had 5 children, folks. 5 children. She left the world. Oh, you see, YouTube is being awful today. You're trying to give memberships and the options not available on your chat. What? Yeah, YouTube is being bad. I should come back tonight too and do another live stream for everybody. I'm sorry about this today. This lady had 5 children, and we're going to listen to that right now because this is insane that she had to leave her 5 children now without her because this monster couldn't couldn't control himself, folks. And he shouldn't even have been in this country anyway. Damn it. Yeah. All right. Here's the video. We're going to work our way forward in this case. And this was 3 days ago, but we're going to go through and we'll show the arrest again or the extradition after this. Let's play this. A good one.
Rachel Morin was a 37-year-old mother of 5. She was living a very busy life and a very active life. On Saturday, August 5th, she left her home at around 6 p.m. to go for a run. She headed to Ma and Pa Heritage Trail in Bel Air, Maryland, which is about 30 miles north of Baltimore. When she didn't return later that night, her boyfriend reported her missing to police at 11:23 p.m. A search of the trail and surrounding areas followed. Then, at 1:07 p.m. Sunday, a citizen called 911 to report finding a deceased female's body. It was at this point the case turned from a missing person to homicide. 11 days later, the sheriff's office said that a DNA sample found at the crime scene was a match to a man wanted for a home invasion and an assault of a 9-year-old girl in Los Angeles. The suspect's identity was not known, but authorities...
All right. Do you remember this, folks? If you remember this, just talk about it in chat. This was crazy. We were on edge for over a year. I remember seeing this in Southern California. I have family down in that area, and I have family and cousins and second cousins. My cousins are older. I'm 45, so they've got kids. Their kids have got kids in Southern California, and it's scary to see somebody walk into a house, do what he did, and then just walk out like nothing. This was the video right here that really got where to go. They showed it really quickly. Let's play this.
23 p.m. A search of the trail and surrounding areas followed. Then, at 1:07 p.m. Sunday, a citizen called 911 to report finding a deceased female's body. It was at this point the case turned from a missing person to homicide. 11 days later, the sheriff's office said that a DNA sample found at the crime scene was a match to a man wanted for a home invasion and an assault of a 9...
That right there, him walking out the door the way he did, that's all they had. And they went on the sketch, and we're going to see the sketch in a while. If you're not familiar with this case, you're going to see it. Crazy that they were able to track him. And you know why? You know who opened that door for familial DNA? Thank God. It was the Golden State Killer. The Golden State Killer, they started using 123andMe or one of those DNA sites, and they were able to track familial, which means family DNA, and it linked back to the Golden State Killer, and that's also how Brian Koberger is behind bars right now. So yes, he left his hat at that scene that you just saw him walk out of after assaulting a 9-year-old and her mom, essaying her. Justice for Rachel and all of his other victims. we have other victims here, and right now we're focusing on Rachel, but there are more.
Year-old girl in Los Angeles. The suspect's identity was not known, but authorities released surveillance video of this unknown suspect. Shockingly, an arrest was not imminent, and Rachel's family grew justifiably frustrated. And now, almost a year later, finally, a huge development and an arrest in the case. Tonight, we will have all the latest and look at how this suspect was finally tracked down, and we'll get reaction from the family as we investigate the murder of Rachel Morin. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us here on Closing Arguments. One thing that I learned early on in my career here at Court TV is families of victims don't ever get closure. So I do not use that word. And I think it's important to think about this for a moment, the position that they're in. Their loved one is gone. Their loved one is not coming back. There is no closure to that. That is something that they carry with them every day for the rest of their lives. So now we turn to what happens. There are investigations, and our system of justice gets involved. So for these families that will never get closure.
They won't get closure, but folks, he went from her all the way in Ma and Pa Trail, which is where Maryland, to Southern California, and he went and did a home invasion and just walked out of the house on camera like no big deal, nothing. Yeah, I wonder how many actual victims there are. I don't know.
The best that they can do, the best that our system can do for them is to get a sense of justice, which means, number one, figuring out what happened, figuring out who was responsible, dragging that person into a courtroom, getting that person convicted, and having them punished according to what they did. And that's a long road. That is a long, long road. And for some families, it's way too long. And for some families, they never even get that. So let's talk tonight about Rachel Morin, mother of five. You know, you're mom of five, you're busy. You are just busy, period. But she was busy and she was active and she was doing things. And she went missing when she went out just to go to the park for like a little walk, get some exercise on August 5th. When no one found her, when she didn't come home, she was reported missing, and they searched. And the next day someone.
And there she is. She does not look like a mother of five, does she? Thank you, PG Deb. Love you and your crime crew. Great work. Thank you. And you guys, it's a rare day where it's like really chill, really slow. Your comments are coming through. It's nice to have a smaller crowd that I can talk to you all. And I love that you all are on the same page. Nobody's blasting anybody. Illegal alien invader, not immigrant. Our government's protecting other countries' borders instead of USA. JW Florida, whatever you want to call it. I call them illegal aliens sometimes, and sometimes I call them immigrants. I also call them monsters. I also call them devils, and I also call them demons. So whatever makes you happy, please do. She was stunning. 5 children. She just met the man, the love of her life. We know normally when we meet someone at an older age, it has a tendency to last for the long haul. So we don't know. She doesn't get a chance to now.
Found her. But then 11 days later, there was a huge development in this investigation, which was that you had DNA from the murder scene that was linked to another case. Now, this is happening in Maryland, but it's linked to a case across the country in Los Angeles. It's a home invasion and the assault of a little girl. But in that case, there is video. There is actual video of the suspect. So you're like, okay, case solved, right? Not even close. Because they had the DNA from 2 crimes, 2 sides of the country, but they didn't have the identity of the suspect they were looking for. And the case lingered like day after day, week after week, month after month.
It did,
despite the fact that you had this surveillance video. And here it is. So this is the suspect. They know this is the person they're looking for. Now, if you know that person, you're absolutely going to recognize them. If you know that person. So does anyone come forward? Why wouldn't you come forward? This is someone who is suspected to be a serial offender.
I don't think they knew.
It doesn't happen.
I think the people that did know him, folks, were the people that were also trafficking with him and everything else. Trafficking, committing crimes. Hey, Jay and everyone, the investigators did a great job on this one. I agree. I've been following this since day one. I've been following this since the day that happened to Rachel. I've been looking at this monster's sketches and racking my brain as to if someone's actually going to identify him. And yes, they identified him with familial DNA. Sometimes those sketches don't work so well. I just don't understand our country condoning all these illegal immigrants. I don't either. And then politics come into play and people get upset, and rather than it being justice, it becomes political. And we started talking about Trump and Biden, and with it being election year, that's what happens. But I just want justice for these people and for us not to have these people trafficking and bringing drugs in and assaulting them. He walked into that house that we saw him walking in and out of, and he did a home invasion, and he just took this little girl's virginity, a 9-year-old, and essayed her mom.
Meanwhile, the family is saying, well, you kind of got the back of him there. How about a sketch? Can we put out the sketch of this man? And that takes months for the sketch to finally come out. It doesn't come out until February. And here it is. Here's the sketch that finally comes out. And now finally, this weekend, law enforcement is able to put the pieces together, somehow identify this suspect, locate this suspect. Let's take a listen to the sheriff.
Just over 3 weeks ago, on May 20th, on what should have been Rachel's 38th birthday.
Damn.
And then a poetic coincidence, or perhaps in Rachel's own divine assistance, our investigators uncovered a lead that led us to this day. And on this day, I'm here to tell you, Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man. Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, assisted by our federal partners, located and arrested Rachel's murderer, Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez. So far, we have learned that the suspect, now pictured on the screens, is a 23-year-old citizen of El Salvador who illegally crossed the border into the United States in February of 2023.
Okay, let's bring in our special guest because this, like I started everything off with tonight, you don't get closure at this moment.
You don't. And the family right now, that's a funny face Vinny's making. Yeah, if you should email me. I have case suggestions, and send me an email, guilty of crime. I'd love to cover all the cases. And when I do, people don't know I'm covering it, so I get a small amount of people. Migrants are always be part of America. We just need to get it done legally. Absolutely. And we need people that aren't coming here and committing crimes, hopping back and forth and doing things like this. According to her first husband, who has one daughter with Rachel, the criminal was deported a few times and he came back. And I played that earlier. I'll play it again because a lot of people missed it. He came back and forth. He was deported and he came back, and he was coming back for a reason because he was bringing drugs back and forth. Yeah, look at his face. I have to get his face off there.
Hoping to get a sense of justice, and this seems to be step one. So let's hear from her family. Joining me, Rachel's sister, Erin, is with us. Erin Morin Lehman, and Rachel's former boyfriend and the father of her oldest daughter, Mac McMahon, is with us as well. Thank you both for being here.
There you go, folks. So you were talking about the father, and then her sister. Will have good news at the end of this, which is nice. It brings a smile to your face, but we still have more to cover. I want to watch a press conference. It just came out about his arrest. This is a big deal. Yeah, that's an aggressive face, Vinny.
I appreciate it. Erin, I'll begin with you. From your perspective, where were you the moment that you learned about the arrest, and describe how that impacted you at that moment?
I woke up Saturday morning to some text messages that came in around 3 a.m. Obviously, I was asleep. I sleep like a rock at night. But when I read it, I couldn't believe what I was reading. I went online immediately to see if there was any kind of news article, and there was nothing out there yet. So I just kept on reaching out to family members and friends to see if they knew anything and to confirm it. So it was confirmed. So it was, I just busted out in tears. It was such a relief to get that news. It's been a long 10 months, and it feels like
10 months.
There was a point where it felt like maybe it just wasn't going to happen, you know? So we're grateful and relieved and happy that he finally is off the streets, that he can't do this to anybody else, and that justice will be served for Rachel.
Aaron and Matt, the viewers of Court TV,
and it will be served for her. We just need to get him out of here, out of this country. We don't want to have to pay for him. I know when my taxes come out, when they take taxes for me, which is 30% here in California and probably everywhere else, I don't want to pay for this guy to be anywhere near me. He came to Southern California. I'm in California, and I just don't want him in this country. He shouldn't have been here in the first place, and he shouldn't have been committing the crimes. Had he been going to school, and it'd be a different story, going to school, working, doing something positive, then hey, get your citizenship here. Fine, do it the right way, but don't bring drugs into our country, traffic people or whatever he was trafficking, whether it was people, whether it was drugs, whether it was whatever, and then committing crimes and taking what you want in a sexual manner as you go along. And that's what he did. And that's why he deserves to be where he is right now.
they care about you. I interact with them all the time, whether sometimes you meet them in person at events or here, and they are so concerned about how you are handling all of this. So, Matt, from your perspective and your daughter's perspective, learning about this and what does that do? Like, how much does it help at a time like this?
Exactly.
Well,
just
it
send
helps
it back.
tremendously. When you're dealing with a brutal murder like this for 10 and a half months, it consumes your mind. It weighs down on you. It takes over your whole life. Just wondering where this person is. What can you do to help find this person? And then when you realize he's been caught, it's almost like you've been suddenly freed. I can start thinking about other things, and my whole mentality just instantly changed. It's hard to explain.
I can't believe this lady had 5 children. And Rachel, for you. Everybody hit that like button while we're paused, because Miracle Hearts is right. Molly Tibbetts was also murdered by an illegal immigrant, and Lake and Riley, both college joggers. And I also want to bring to your attention Jocelyn Nungary. The 2 men that were arrested are Venezuelan. That's their nationality. And I don't know if they're from Venezuela or not. But what I will tell you is that it may be the case that he wasn't, that they weren't legal either. There's 2 of them they have arrested, and I'm going to cover that case as well. El Salvador prison. Yes, that's what I want for them. And these 2 Venezuelan men, and I might do that case later tonight, because breaking news, it came out, they caught the guys really quick that they were looking for. And yeah, I don't want to say do not jog or do not walk, because that's my mom's favorite thing to do. But I do like Davies. Step 1, build a wall. Step 2, build a catapult. Step 3, catapult them into just a pit of either fire or something that's very painful. Who needs prison system? Who was naked? The perp. He walked out of the house after he assaulted 2 women. Let's keep going with no shirt on.
I mean,
Well, I'm glad that you're here in this first step. But what I will say, having worked at Court TV, having been a prosecutor, et cetera, and I tried to talk about a little bit at the top here. This is like step 1 of this process now in our system of justice, right? They've put the evidence together and they've arrested someone. Aaron, are you prepared for the journey that may honestly take years? It can happen faster, but it may take years.
And I just, I've been in prayer this whole time, and I have an awesome God who has carried me through it and given me strength. And I know like he's going to go before us during this journey, and it's going to be hard, but I'm not worried about me. I am worried about Rachel's children, and just focusing on them, spending time with them, loving them, being everything in their life that I can possibly be.
I like hearing about these, and then we're going to get into more technical stuff after this. We're going to hear about the scientific portion of the familial DNA and how that played into it. We're going to hear the press conference. So I just like to bring some light to the family and what's coming and their take. And I'd like you to hear about all of the case. That's why that's what we do with Madeline Soto. We talk about the things that are in the documents, and then we talk about the family that surrounds it, the roommates, the people inside the house, all the details that you don't know from all the documents. We want to find out about all of it and all of them. And so there's her ex-husband or the father of one of her children, and then her sister. And again, good news at the end of this.
So I know that their life has changed forever. Even though we might get justice and get him locked away forever, it's never going to bring their mom back. So that's something they're going to have to live with for every stage of their life. Their mom's never going to be there for them. So for me, that is my journey right now, is to be the best aunt and person in their life that I can be.
Matt, talk.
And keep that in mind. Somebody's going to have to raise those children, folks. And I don't know if they're going to split the 5 children up. One's going to go to the dad. Some are going to go to the aunt. Who knows what's going to happen? But you got to think about the ripple effect. Men stock parks and trails, and that is too bad. During the middle of the day, you can't be safe when most of the time people are.
Talk about that part of it as well, for your daughter, and how to handle this, because this is something that's going to stay in the headlines. There'll be ebbs and flows. There'll be times when he has to show up in court. There'll be times where his defense attorney may say something outrageous, and then
all right, there he is, folks. He wasn't naked, but he walked out without a shirt, and he left his hat in the house. This was after taking Rachel's life. 4 days later, he went from, was it Oklahoma, to Southern California and assaulted a mother and a daughter that is 9 years old and walked out of the house like this on camera. They didn't get his face, but they got a picture. I've experienced men stalking me at parks, and I believe so. My mom's come home before and said, there's this one guy that keeps trying to talk to me, asking to walk with me, etc., and it scares me. But this guy, on top of that, is also an illegal alien, whatever you want to call him, an immigrant, a monster, a devil.
Ultimately, there may very well be a trial. Is your daughter prepared for how this may take form over the next several years?
I'm absolutely prepared. Before they apprehended the suspects, I didn't know if we would ever have an end to this process. Now I at least know that a conclusion is coming, that this man is going to face justice. So that gives me a lot of hope. But as for Faye and the other children, you have to remember that even though he's caught, and that's good news, it's also a reminder of the trauma that they've been dealing with for the last 10 months. So this is also a very painful time for them as well. It brings back up so many emotions and thoughts and feelings of loss. But I intend to be there for every moment that the public.
That was the beautiful park where she was. It had trails. People were out there. She must have just went at the wrong time in the middle of the day. It wasn't in the evening or in the morning when it was dark. He just pulled her off the trail and did what he wanted.
Is allowed to be in court.
I hear the strength in both of your voices, which is great to hear. It's absolutely, because the family needs those rocks when you go through all of this. Aaron, tell me your reaction when you found out who this man is.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was an illegal alien. And so when that came out, I wasn't shocked. I feel like there is way too much freedom at the border, and it needs to be secure. And it's just painful that like people that we don't know, criminals coming in, bringing drugs, sex trafficking, like there's so much crime coming through the border, and we really need to get a handle on it. And I couldn't be any more agreeable with Trump right now on his statement that he made today on social media, on Truth Social. So he mentioned Rachel Morin and trying to secure the border. And I'm really praying that those efforts do come to fruition and we can stop.
Again, it's 2024, folks. And if you know, 2024 is election year again. We've seen the hats. Trump 2024. So we know it's going to get really political. But in chat, please, let's just agree with each other or agree to disagree if you don't about politics. I don't care who is the president as long as they do their job. And right now, somebody's not doing their job. Yes, in California, citizens get 40% of their income tax gets 60%, and then they take, yes, they do. I'm in California, and when I get a $12,000 check, it comes home with $6,900, folks. So that's also like my medical taken out of it. I get huge taxes taken out of my paycheck. So yeah, it's bad. And we're having to pay for illegal aliens, immigrants, devils, all these people that are not supposed to be here.
About this border crisis.
Matt, how about you when you found out this man's background?
I guess part of me.
Good to see you here, Wolfpack. I was going to ask you if you wanted to email me. I'm going to put my email below. I don't know if you're interested in doing some modding, but I would be interested in having you be a mod for Guilty of Crime. If you're interested, email me. I've been meaning to get around to that, but yeah, anyway, email me. Right wing, left wing, both attached to the same corrupt bird, in my opinion. I agree. That's my opinion as well. Just do your damn job. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, nothing. You say people are like, I'm a this, I'm a that, and they write names in. I don't care. Just do your job.
Was surprised because I was trying to not formulate any opinions about who this person was aside from any evidence that I already had. And I just didn't know if he was born here or came here illegally. I was particularly disappointed today when I learned that I'd been told from a couple different sources that he had apparently been even deported a couple times and managed to keep coming back into the country. So I was really disappointed to hear that he was able to keep doing that.
All right, Aaron and Matt are going to be gracious enough to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the investigation and how this suspect was actually apprehended. Don't go away.
And then after this, there's more news because this was 3 days ago, and then more news came in 16 hours ago. And then now today we heard from one of our generous Guilty of Crime people in the crew that his Bel hearing is being set, and she's headed off to there now. And I would love for her, if you hear me, to email me at guiltyofcrimeby@gmail.com so I can get the inside information from you and continue following this case. I love locals that help me out with these cases and can bring me inside the information to bring it to my crime crew. Here we go with the throw up in the poll. Yeah. Just as long as you guys keep it, keep it nice. It doesn't matter. I don't care who you are, what you vote for. I hate politics. They're all the same. Yeah. They're all rich people that are campaigning right now, but just do your job. Whoever is the president, do your damn job.
Hey, listen,
All right.
crime scene DNA and tracing that DNA.
We're gonna actually play
Investigative genealogy was
okay. We're gonna listen to this part because we're gonna
all
play
this. Now, then you have to identify him. Then you've got to actually physically find him. And he's arrested in Oklahoma. Remember, this is a murder that took place in Maryland. He's wanted in a case connected to California. He's originally from El Salvador.
California.
Putting these pieces together, not easy. Still with us, Rachel's sister, Erin, and Rachel's former boyfriend and father of Rachel's oldest daughter, Matt, is with us as well. Matt, I know you worked hard to cooperate and help push this investigation. You have any idea what the genealogy to identify him, but then to track him down and find him? Have you learned anything about how they were able to find this guy in Oklahoma?
I have. In a briefing Faye and I were brought into on Friday that we were told we couldn't reveal any of the information from.
So please don't. I'm not asking you to.
Very little.
Right.
Well, that was before they apprehended the suspect. They didn't want to spook the suspect because at that point they did not know the address of where he was. But they were worried the information would leak to us. They just let us know that they were able to locate some place that he had been staying and obtain something that he left behind. And with DNA that.
And we have that where he'd been hiding. Right after this, I'm going to play that. We have a lot today, so I don't know if it's your lunch hour right now or if it's 4:30 and it's on your way home. But for me, it's 1:25 in the middle of the day on a Friday. I love Fridays. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have a special guest, Mr. Strategic, who is a police officer from New York, and I'm going to get his take on the Madeline Soto case, and I have some new footage to play for you and theories and so forth. So thank you for being here today, RJ. Thank you for covering this. Wolfpack, I hope to hear from you soon. Since Surfer says Elon is nerd crush, being a savant, he's gonna be weird. I want to business mind. I don't know what that means, but Ellie, hello, and let's listen to this and find out where he was hiding. And while he was hiding, because he was hiding, they had a sketch of him. He looks like a child here. This is an older picture. And I think sketches don't do much justice, but DNA does a huge justice. Except for you, Davey. If you think Brian Koberger is innocent, put a 2 in chat.
They were able to retrieve from that. They were able to learn his identity and then start tracking him once they knew who he was. Once they had his photo. So Friday evening, they didn't know where he was. And then Friday night, they called and said that they got him.
So, Aaron, this investigation at times had to be frustrating, right? Because there's a video of the suspect. We don't know who he is. You could release a sketch, but no sketch is released. What was it like going through these 10 months without a capture? Like, we're at the end now of this first part of the case, but those first 10 months had to be somewhat frustrating based upon some of the evidence and clues that they had.
Yeah, very frustrating. Since we got the video 11 days later, it seemed like in the beginning things were happening pretty quickly, and then nothing.
Nothing.
And to be honest with you, I was not comfortable being out in public. I was kind of wigged out and afraid to be places, and because you're just always looking over your shoulder. You just don't know. Then I had to just really give it to God and pray about it and say, I can't live this way. I gotta, be stronger than that. But it really.
And this is when I love when families say this: give it to God and let it work itself out. Otherwise, your whole life is just ruined sitting there in anger and frustration. Number one, BK. The reason I bring up BK and the whole BK situation is because BK was arrested again by familial DNA. He left it at the crime scene on the snap of the K-bar sheath. Okay. And this guy is arrested and everybody's like, yeah, he's arrested. This immigrant, get this illegal immigrant out of here. Golden State Killer was arrested by familial DNA, and he's over there sitting in prison, old man convicted. Same thing. So why do you think familial DNA works in one instance, but it doesn't work in another, or it's junk science? They're all the same thing. DNA is here to stay, folks, and it's going to get better. So don't leave your DNA at crime scenes or you're going to be in jail. And I think BK, innocent until proven guilty, they have enough evidence to convict him right now. They should go to trial.
Really did, weighs on you. It's a toll to go through. Just always wondering, where is he at? Who is this? What is he doing now? How many people is he going to hurt? Is this going to happen again? So many things would go through your head.
Absolutely. And Aaron, I understand that you may have some good news that you can share with folks related to Faye.
I'm going to be a great aunt.
So
that's exciting.
Tell us the news for people who don't know. Give us something to smile about tonight.
Matt, do you want to disclose it?
No, I was deferring to you. I was going to let you give this good news.
Okay, all right.
So put it in relation.
Oh, okay. I don't want to take the limelight. So Faye, she is pregnant, 4 months. She's due December 1st, and she's going to have a girl.
That's amazing.
Now, keep in mind, Faye has got to be one of Rachel's children. Rachel has 5 children, and so I could imagine that one of her children is probably pregnant. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked the father. Thank you, Jana Lamb. Thank you so much for the $13.99 super chat. That helps me greatly, more than you know. BK is beyond guilty. And Davey, I love you. I love that you have opposite opinions in the chat, being a moderator. However, BK, it's not just the familial DNA. That is how they found him. His own family said he was wearing gloves at the house over the holiday, and he was not stargazing that night. Okay. So we'll just see as it plays out. And thank you, Jan on the Lamb. BK is beyond guilty. I believe that too. I will follow the case, and I believe in DNA. And let me give you my email down there. It's guiltyofcrime by j@gmail.com. Thank you. All right. That's good news. Let's pull this down.
So we're just blessed. We're just,
Rachel would be a grandmother.
That would be Rachel's granddaughter, will be your granddaughter, Matt. Well, that's another reason to smile tonight from ear to ear, and
yes,
and an absolute blessing for your family. Thank you both for joining us. This is going to be a long journey, so I hope you'll come back and join us as we get closer and closer to that day in court. Because I know now he's still in Oklahoma. It'll take a while to get back to Maryland, but we appreciate it so much, and the best to your family, and congratulations.
Yeah, best to them. And yes, RJ, they do have a lot of circumstantial evidence, and I'm here for the trial. Just like the Delphi case, I'm here to see the real trial and the real evidence. I'm not convicting him. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not the jury. But what I see and the evidence that I've seen and what I've heard from the family, that is what I'm talking about. I am talking about I am talking about that evidence and the science of the evidence that has him behind bars. So he's behind bars right now on solid evidence. If he's not convicted, guess what? I'll say to you, everybody that's a naysayer, I was wrong. All right. I don't need to read the thread. I already have my opinion out there. I think it's funny. You guys are funny. I say what I say. What time did the stream start? It just started, Sue. You're not missing anything. All right, let's listen to scientific methods that led to Rachel Morin's suspected killer. Again, it's DNA, and I do believe in DNA and familial DNA. It's solid.
And investigative methods used to track down the suspect wanted for Rachel Morin's murder. Harford County Sheriff's Office and the FBI say they relied on genetic genealogy to solve this case. It's a relatively new method that has been credited for solving many high-profile cases in recent years. Our Harford County community reporter Jessica Albert spoke with the company that helped authorities narrow down the forensic evidence. She joined us live tonight from the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air. Jessica.
Vic, before we get to that, we do want to let you know some breaking news that we just learned from the sheriff's office. The suspect in this case, Victor Martinez-Hernandez, is expected to be back here extradited to Maryland tomorrow afternoon. Now, like you said, we are learning new details about how investigators tracked him down. They worked with a company called Offram. That is a forensic genetic genealogy company located in Texas. The technology that they use helps investigators solve cases that would otherwise go cold.
Right. And right now we're talking about Rachel Morin, SoCal brat. So we're talking about Rachel Morin. We're talking about how we have him in custody and bringing him back to they extradited him back to Oklahoma. And we're not talking about Brian Koberger right now, but they do have other evidence. So you should go watch that. And then we'll all come back and do an episode about what they have. And then when he goes on trial, we'll all see it. And whoever's wrong will be wrong. But right now, justice for Rachel Morin, and let's hope that DNA is solid evidence in this case, enough to keep him and kick him out of this place. Kick him out of the United States, send him back to where he belongs.
For nearly a year, the suspect in Rachel Morin's murder, 23-year-old Victor Martinez-Hernandez, evaded capture as law enforcement tried to identify him.
Yeah, you can't get away with it anymore. Everybody leaves DNA.
Martinez-Hernandez, an international fugitive from El Salvador, was so hard to track down because he was allegedly in the country illegally. To help find him, the Harford County Sheriff's Office and the FBI enlisted the help of Offram, a company specializing in forensic genetic genealogy. Dr. Kristen Middleman is Offram's chief development officer.
All we do here at Offram is identify perpetrators and victims from crime scenes, really difficult crime scenes.
They're difficult because sometimes there's only small amounts of DNA left behind, and usually that DNA is contaminated or consists of a mixture.
Right. And we're listening to all sides here. We're not biased at all. I'm not being biased, but I have opinions. Tia, Marie, you say, Maria, DNA is not a movable object, circumstantial at best. Well, guess what? They have Rachel Morin's murder and the two people that he SA'd. One's a 9-year-old, and that's what they're using the DNA for. So you can look at Lucas Anderson or any other people. It's going to be used in court in this case, and hopefully we get him out of this country because of it. So no right or wrong. Everybody has their opinions, and we're listening to it right now about how science methods led to the arrest and about DNA.
shirt belonging to both the victim and the suspect. Othram uses a process called forensic grade genome sequencing to sort it out.
We look at hundreds and hundreds of thousands of markers across your genome, across your DNA sequence that makes you unique.
In Rachel Morin's case, a team at the FBI's Baltimore field office did the genealogy research. They took the information from Othram and built out a family tree of Martinez-Hernandez's relatives until they were able to identify him.
This is an game-changing investigative tool.
Dr. Middleman says this technology could solve a lot more crimes, but often there's not enough funding to afford it. She's hoping legislation will be passed to make it available for all.
We're going to live in a world in the next few years where people are caught the first time they commit a crime.
Again, breaking news.
All right, so if you guys heard that, and thank you, Naomi. Happy to have you on a live. You usually work. I usually work today too. I think they should have electric fencing as well. I agree with you. And that would help, in my opinion, so they're not going back and forth. And thank you for you have the most beautiful eyes. I'm here. Why hide them? I wear my glasses. I can't see, so I wear shades in here because it's really bright in this studio. My old studio wasn't that bright. So if you go back and watch old videos, you'll see them without. But thank you for the super chat. DNA doesn't matter with OJ. Sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. We're all here for Rachel Morin. And in this case, this is how we caught him. One of his family members in this country also committed a crime. And guess what? That's how they caught him. All right, and then we're going to listen.
News we just learned from the sheriff's office that Victor Martinez-Hernandez is expected to be brought back here to Maryland tomorrow afternoon. We will be there when he is brought back, and we'll bring you much more coverage tomorrow. But to wrap up this story, Martinez-Hernandez investigators are trying to determine if he's connected to any other crimes. And like I said, we are going to make sure that we stay with this case for you. Reporting live tonight in Harford County, Jessica Albert for W.
All right, let's listen to him real quick because a lot of people came in late. Let's listen to one more time. Breaking news is that he was extradited. So because he was extradited, then we're going to also find out what the search warrant reveals and where this guy was hiding. All right, so this is what I played at the very beginning. A lot of people weren't here. I don't think you realized that I was even on today at this time. I don't normally come on at this time. All right, here it is. This is what's happening right now. He's being extradited to Maryland, where he came from.
From the Department of Homeland Security, showing 37-year-old Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez in handcuffs. He is the man accused of killing Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 from Maryland who went missing last August after simply going out for a walk. Martinez-Hernandez arrested last week and extradited from Oklahoma to Maryland today, seen here entering a small plane with government agents alongside in close watch. Now, Rachel Morin's family tells News Nation they spoke today with Donald Trump. Her mother saying in a statement, in part, quote, "I am deeply touched by President Trump's kindness and concern. He was genuine and truly wanted to know how our family was coping." Moments ago, the White House responding, saying, quote, "We extend our deepest condolences to the family," end quote. But they cannot comment, they say, on an active law enforcement case. Now, we know that Martinez-Hernandez tried on 3 different occasions to enter the country last year through the southern border. Tonight, News Nation is learning how he was turned away, as there are real questions regarding how he then got in the 4th time. Our Allie Bradley, live along the southern border with some of those answers. Allie?
Yeah, hey, Blake. So what we know here is that Victor Martinez-Hernandez was actually in the country 3 separate times within just 3 weeks and subsequently removed under the Trump-era COVID policy that we know as Title 42. So how does that happen? 3 times removed within 3 weeks. While under Title 42, the process was extremely different. It was extremely quick and, yes, very easy, both for law enforcement and apparently for people trying to enter the country illegally. So this removal process was the...
Yeah, it's weird because the more crimes you commit, Trump was just convicted of several crimes, which is interesting that we have one president convicted of several crimes and one president that you just never hear about anything. And our taxes are out of control to help these people that shouldn't be here in this country. It's absolutely amazing how this world works. And that's why we have this community, so we can talk about things like that and think through true crime. And RJ, you're completely right. And it's amazing how this system works. It is funny. And thank you for bringing that up, because I was thinking the same thing 2 weeks ago. I was talking to my boss and I told him, does that mean Trump's going to be able to run for president now? Yeah, it's ironic. You can commit crimes and still be the president. Again, I'm not being political. Whoever's a president, just do your job. All right. We'll see where he's hiding out after this.
Premier removal process used for several years, and it only takes about 90 minutes to remove someone under Title 42. It's noted on their file, but they aren't charged with illegal entry or illegal reentry. So the recidivism rate was pretty high here with Title 42, meaning people removed came back often because there weren't really consequences, kind of a slap on the wrist, if you will. Now, sources confirm that Martinez-Hernandez entered the 4th time, and he was able to successfully evade. He remained undetected. He was not touched by Border Patrol on February 13, 2023, when he ultimately had success entering in the El Paso area illegally. Now, all of the times that he entered the country were all through the El Paso sector. Now, Title 42 went away in May of 2023. Title 8, that is the Premier Removal Authority. It was also the removal authority well before Title 42 was ever used. Now, if Title 42 was not in place and Title 8 was used like it should have been there, he would have been flagged for illegal entry. He would have been fined $5,000, and he would have been ineligible for asylum and removed. So sources say he did have an Interpol flag here. The problem there was that this Interpol flag was connected to that murder conviction in El Salvador, but it came about 7 months later, Blake. So that's a huge problem because it all impacts each other, right? More people coming in, the system is being used, the system is backlogging. Unfortunately, that's happening. So these flags are coming late, and then ICE is going and having to find them and remove them. That's the situation that happened here as well, Blake.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com.
And he does look like a goofy kid in some of his pictures. He's 37. He looks different in different pictures. Let's find out where he was hiding out, and then we can hear the press conference together and talk about all of the things. Thank you all for being here today in the middle of the day. If you want me to come back tonight and do an episode, since I'm here early, I know a lot of you people I caught off guard, my normal crime crew. If you want me to come back on and do something later, let me know, and I'll come back and do something later for you so you can actually interact with me. When I say let me know, I'll say on this one, hit a 1 in chat. Not a 2, because I know, yeah, this guy's a serial killer, career criminal, all that. But for my normal crime crew that was expecting me later, I apologize. If you want me to come back on later, I will.
After her murder, Rachel Morin's alleged killer is behind bars.
And tonight, Fox 45 News continues to dig deeper into Victor Martinez-Hernandez's arrest and his past criminal history.
Wow, that's a lot.
We have live team coverage starting with Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor.
She joins us with more on the additional cases he's facing, charges, and the possibility of more to come. Rebecca?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, from incidents happening clear across the country, even outside of the U.S., Rachel Morin, suspected killer, is wanted on several other crimes, all of them extremely violent in nature, which is causing some law enforcement experts to question whether or not more victims could soon surface.
Thank you, Angie.
The lengthy search for a Harford County murder suspect ending halfway across.
All right, yeah, this guy does look like a goofy, I don't even know, a goofy, like something's wrong with him, and it probably is. Something's probably more wrong with him than we know, and we're not going to even spend the time or waste the money looking into him. I just want him to get sent back. He shouldn't have been here in the first place. I can't believe that he already murdered someone in Venezuela, and he's back here, and they didn't flag him properly. This is what he's been doing, search warrant reveals. And I have paperwork on that from MB Inc., which is really cool. All of his charges and his goofy mugshot.
The country. A search warrant uncovered by Fox 45 News revealing Victor Martinez-Hernandez was believed to be renting this brick home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 10 months after the brutal beating of Rachel Morin, her suspected killer reportedly living in a densely populated suburb, just a short drive from several schools, churches, and the airport. Following his arrest at a bar just down the street, Tulsa police searching the residence for knives and other deadly weapons. Instead, investigators finding a laptop, sketchbook, and a driver's registration from his alleged home country of El Salvador. Also, bus tickets and a Metro card, seemingly from his many travels in the last year. 6 months before Morin's murder, DNA evidence connecting Hernandez to a home invasion and assault on a 9-year-old girl in Los Angeles, California. Harford County authorities also linking him to a red notice in El Salvador, accusing him of gang ties and another murder.
This is literally a violent suspect who went coast to coast, wreaking havoc.
Betsy Smith with the National Police Association warning due to the nature of his alleged crimes, the distance between them, and the time it took to track him down. As Morin's case comes to a close, more could soon open.
I think there is a good chance that this suspect has left other victims in his wake, either cases that have not been reported or cases that have not yet been discovered.
Only time will tell, which can also be said for this case. Investigators now passing the baton to prosecutors. Harford County State's Attorney Allison Healy promising to try the case herself and work tirelessly to secure a conviction.
Wow, so they're not even gonna send him back, folks. They're gonna try it where they extradited him back to, where the case was for Rachel Morin. That's crazy. So even no matter what we're talking about or what we're saying, it makes no difference. And the devil is loose everywhere. That's one devil. There's lots of them. In Germany, Kirsten says we don't even send them back even after they took someone's life. God forbid they get hurt in their home country. Yeah, that's true because we have the death penalty. Well, it doesn't look like they're going to send him back, folks. What do you think about that? So Rachel Morin and the girl in California were connected. They were connected by that guy. That's how they found him. He left his hat. Yeah. Z, good looking out there. The girl, there was a 9-year-old and her mom he went and did a home invasion and essayed them, if you know what I mean, and left his hat. And the DNA came back and it was a huge connection. Now they're going to try him where Rachel Morin lives. Man. Yeah, and the suspect's 23 and Rachel was 37. I don't know if who mixed that up, but I said that at the beginning. Yeah, it does suck. We need better red flagging. It does suck. Yeah, they just extradited him. I played that a minute ago. All right, let's keep watching.
Now, it remains unclear why or for how long Hernandez was living in Oklahoma. We hope to learn more information about that once his charging documents become public, which I'm told won't happen until he's brought back to Harford County. Reporting live in Baltimore, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
I'm Kai Jackson. Thank you for watching. Here's another video to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe.
All right. I subscribe to y'all. Let me pull this up real quick. I want to show you some of the charges and his crazy he looks way different in his mugshot. Watch, check this out, everybody. And then we can watch a press conference where they talk about all the things that happened to find him and so forth. So he'd served time for Rachel. Then California has an option to do the same. You're right. If after that he goes back to the country, you're absolutely right. And that to me just seems like such a waste. I hate when that happens. And they commit crimes in other countries. That was his mugshot, folks. Tell me he doesn't look evil and what have you. He looks a lot different in that mugshot than we're seeing in the other one. So that was him. You saw it when he traveled back with that mask on his face when they extradited him. That's what he looks like. Maybe a lot of people in prison speak his language is pretty much Spanish. They're different kinds of Spanish, but they're all the same. Yeah, you guys are nailing it. Absolutely. He does not look like the picture that you saw. Put a law that you're not here legally, then you're out of Oklahoma. There you go. There you go. Pinchy Diablo. That's a good one. Maybe that goes around the algorithm there. Those eyes. All right, let's look at his charges. I have the paperwork with his charges. And Jamie, you're right. Absolutely right. All right, look, check out the charges he's got for Rachel. Let me go through this real quick. I don't know if you can see this. Let me pull up my other screen. Today you can kind of see it, but I can read it to you. Let's see. There you go. I'm just going to show you real quick. So his charge and disposition, he got murder in the first degree. Probable cause, yes. Charge 2, murder in the second degree. And then RA, we're just going to call it that. SA, first degree. SA, second degree. Assault in the first degree. Assault in the second degree. This is for Rachel, folks. This is all for Rachel Morin. And this is, I can't even stand this guy's name. So if you guys want to look it up, you can look up the case. He was just extradited. Somebody local was going to see his bail hearing. He's not going to get out. His name's Victor Hernandez Martinez, whatever, who cares? This guy was 5'9" and 160 pounds. He's a little dude. He was born in 2000, so that tells you that he was 9/19/2000. He was 23 years old. He's going to be 24 in September. And then right now, Harford County Detention Center in Roxbury, which they just sent him back. It says Maryland, actually. Isn't that where they took him to? All right, so you can see the charges, and then there's the documentation for his arrest warrant. Can anybody see that? And is everybody still here with me? Thank you for being here, everybody. I like when people like to hear the news, the family, the the hurtful stuff, the paperwork. I'm in for all of it. I love all true crime. I study all true crime, and I want justice for everybody. Yeah, Dios mío. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all for being here. He looks like a bad guy. So there's his arrest warrant, folks. I'm going to just look at that, and then I'll get on to the next thing. But I appreciate everybody again for being here. If you can see his arrest warrant, I love arrest warrants. That's like me getting a Christmas present when I see those. That's my favorite thing to do, is like look through this paperwork and see things like this. It just makes my day when justice is starting to be served, we'll say, because it hadn't really, it's not fully been served, but at least he's behind bars. So let me just take a look at that real quick. It says arrest warrant, Hartford County, and then 6/14/2024, which was 6 days ago. And they already sent him out of there. And you can see that you can see his charges are murder and RA, first and second degree. Jeez, this guy is a monster. He also bashed Rachel's face in, folks, to where she was unrecognizable. That's how much after he SA'd her. So he assaulted her in that way, and then he bashed her face in so the family couldn't identify her, I guess. And it says immediately take this person before a judicial officer at district court. Yeah, this is pretty local detention. There's the signatures there, and get this guy out of here. He doesn't have any tattoos or anything. All right. I pull this down. Thank you all again for being here. Let's pull up the next thing. Ooh, that's big. Now you see my eyes. All right. Whoa, I'm really big on the screen, everybody. What happened? There we go. Okay, it's a little better. All right, let's get to the next thing, folks. I want you guys to hear this, and we'll chat and chat. If it goes too long, I'll change it. But here is where they made. This was where they made the arrest. They provide an update on the Rachel Morin case. This was 6 days ago. Everybody was really excited because they caught this guy. They've been looking for him it's been over 10 months, and he just walked into somebody's house and did what he wanted.
Chief of Staff, Washington, Baltimore, Haida. Patrick Vincenti, President of the Hartford County Council, and members of Rachel's family. After Ms. Healy concludes her remarks, Hattie Morin, Rachel's mom, will offer a few remarks as well. She will not be taking questions today. We know that you have many questions for all of us. Please keep in mind that we will try to answer as many as we can, but this investigation is still ongoing, and there are some details we cannot discuss at this time. Again, thank you for joining us, taking your time and dedication to telling Rachel's story. And with that, Sheriff Gaylor.
Thanks, Christy. Good afternoon, everybody. As Christy said, I'm Hartford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor. As everyone's aware, on August 6, 2023, our peaceful Hartford County community was rocked when the body of Rachel Morin was discovered in an area just about a mile from here, just off the Mom Pa hiking trail here just outside the town of Bel Air. In addition to the impact to our local Hartford County community, Rachel's murder gained national and even international attention.
He did.
The young mother of 5, whose life was violently taken in a public location, is one of the safest places in the state. It's not supposed to happen, and it shouldn't have happened. In the days and months since Rachel was murdered, Rachel's family and friends, our Hartford County community, and the men and women of the Hartford County Sheriff's Office, along with all of our allied partners, have worked tirelessly to bring the individual responsible for her death to justice.
I'm just going to play some of this real quick. I have another clip for you, so don't leave yet. We've been here for an hour and 23 minutes. I usually do longer shows, but I have more for you. This is a really, oh, you heard this already? Okay. I just wanted to play a quick clip of it to hear, so you can see it. It was 6 days ago, and everybody else played it too. So let me just play it for a minute, and then I'll get to the next thing.
Our deputies and our partners have worked this case with persistence and passion for Rachel and for her family every day over the past 10 months. Just over 3 weeks ago, on May 20th, on what should have been Rachel's 38th birthday, And in a poetic coincidence, or perhaps in Rachel's own divine assistance, our investigators uncovered a lead that led us to this day. And on this day, I'm here to tell you Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man. Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again. The lead we received was related to DNA evidence and allowed investigators to finally put a name to the image of the suspect in the video from Los Angeles, which we released.
All right, and we'll leave it on the DNA evidence, folks. I agree. Death penalty should be brought back everywhere. In California, it's not. She was such a pretty girl. I wanna have, the panel come up. Nancy Grace did a really good episode. I'm not gonna play the entire thing, but I'm gonna start with Chris McDonough, the director of the Cold Case Foundation. You all know him. And I want you to hear what these experts have to say. And they talk about DNA, and they talk about the whole forensic thing, and they give their opinion. They show you where the Mon Pa trail was. So I want you to take a look and listen to this for a little bit with me.
On him, and what that is it's a worldwide alert, kind of like a BOL for this individual that they had in the system. And when LAPD got the hit,
did you say BOL? Are you talking about a BOLO? Be on the lookout.
Yes, ma'am. Like be on the lookout. And what it is, it's not an international arrest warrant. It's basically to notify all countries that participate in Interpol that this is one dangerous dude. And LAPD gets that hit on the DNA. They match a name to it. They get this red notice, and boom, they're off to the races, and they're on the hunt for this guy.
Chris McDonough and everybody on the panel, please jump in. A lot is happening. We're getting information fast and furious. According to detectives, this guy, Hernandez, was lying in wait there at the Mon Pa Trail near Bel Air, Maryland, waiting.
And there it is right there, folks. The Ma and Pa Trail. You can see the houses on the right, or however you're looking at it. And you can see the trail it is in the thicket of all the trees. So I can see how somebody would say, oh, I can snatch somebody and just pull them off of the trail, which none of us think that way, right? None of us here anyway, that's on the chat.
For a victim. You know what that tells me? To Karen Stark, renowned psychologist joining us out of Manhattan. You can find her online, KarenStark.com, Karen with a C if you're looking for her. Karen, that tells me, as we discussed when this first happened, this is not his first attack. Now, we know that now because of DNA, but what I'm trying to say is that I think there are going to be other attacks. I would be looking in Tulsa. I would be looking everywhere in between LA, Bel Air, Maryland, and Tulsa, because a guy, a predator like this non-citizen migrant from El Salvador, a guy that knows how to lie in wait. And remember, we learned, Karen Stark, that at the time Rachel was attacked and murdered and her whole face beaten in, bludgeoned in, there was a lot of foliage. And you would be going down the Mon Pa Trail, and then it would turn. And he knew that and was hiding in the foliage just around the turn, waiting for a woman, any woman probably, to come around that bend.
I agree.
He wasn't worried about robbing them. He was there to rape and kill.
Ugh, bad word.
He was Nancy, and this was very carefully planned. If you think about it, he left El Salvador and could have just started again. And maybe he wouldn't have been caught, but he can't stop. He gets pleasure, it derives pleasure from doing this. It was planned, although he's pretty indiscriminate, because he does a child, her mother, this person in El Salvador who's a young woman, and then Rachel. So all ages, and he doesn't care as long as he's able to rape and kill. And it's very
bad words
that the 9-year-old to the family came and he wasn't able to kill her. I have no doubt he would have, because that's where he gets his pleasure. And by the way, smash the face in, because he doesn't want her to see him symbolically.
Guys, you're taking a look.
Okay, so that may be a better analysis. I thought he did so the family, he was just didn't want them to recognize her, but it could be that too. He didn't want her to see him. You know how many killers will do that, where they'll do something to the eyes, or they cover up the body with something so they're not looking back, or they just cover the face so they can't see him. He literally smashed her face in, folks. And I hate to say that, but that's what he did. And these crimes and these people this guy that we're looking at, and these Lake and Riley, The Lake and Riley case, the Rachel Morin case, Molly Tibbetts case. It's awful. Play.
At a non-citizen migrant who has just been busted in the murder and rape of a gorgeous young mother of 5. Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez, a non-citizen migrant running from a murder charge in El Salvador. How the hey did he get here? And why is he here? He has gone unapprehended after attacking a 9-year-old girl and her mother in LA. But guess what? He left a hat behind.
Yes.
And in that hat was a hair. That hair's mitochondrial DNA matches up to DNA taken from the Rachel Morin rape and murder scene. In the last hours, a huge breakthrough in the murder of a Maryland mom, Rachel Morin, as cops finally.
Trigger warning to anybody that has been assaulted or knows somebody that has. Nancy Grace doesn't filter herself, folks. And there's nothing I can do. Yeah, those Malibu, you're amazing. Those teeth. I was gonna say the same thing. He looks like the devil. Another Richard Ramirez with those teeth. What's up, sweet and salty, aka Rachel? Hey, if I just stay long enough, it's already gonna be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I can just stay for another half an hour, and then everybody will be happy.
Arrest an illegal migrant seen in eerie doorbell camera footage 10 months after Rachel's body was found naked and beaten on a remote hiking trail. At the time, we analyzed the evidence and we believed he had attacked and even killed before. We were right. Listen.
We all suspected that perhaps Rachel was not his first victim. And it's my understanding that this suspect, this monster, fled to the United States illegally after committing the brutal murder of a young woman in El Salvador a month early in January of 2023. Once in our country and likely emboldened by his anonymity, he brutally attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in March of 2023 in Los Angeles.
And if he wouldn't have done that, folks, they wouldn't have got his DNA from that hat to connect him to that crime. And normally you don't connect somebody to a crime that's in California and then all the way in Oklahoma or wherever, which I think is Oklahoma, the guilt of killing that mom. And when he saw her look up at him, said something, he snapped. That could be a good possibility as well. We don't understand the mind of a murderer, and that's why I wanted to bring on Nancy and her panel today, because they do. And what's up, Allison? Yeah, I like this dumbass. That's the best word you could say. Just, he didn't even run from that scene. No, he just walked right out like nothing. Like, goodbye. See you later. What's up, Golden? Back at you. All right, let's keep going.
Victor Hernandez did not come here to make a better life for himself or for his family. He came here to escape the crime he committed in El Salvador. He came here and murdered Rachel, and God willing, no one else. But that should have never been allowed to happen.
Everybody just joining us, in the last hours, a huge breakthrough in the search for the killer of a Maryland mom dubbed Trail Mom.
Yeah, we know that.
That DNA was analyzed by the Maryland State Police, and it was ran through the National CODIS system.
Again, National CODIS system, DNA. This is how we caught him. This is how we caught now convicted Golden State killer. We connected him back to 30 years of crimes. So I'll be very surprised if Kohberger, if they don't have more information on him. If they don't have more information and it's all circumstantial, then I say let him walk free. Wolfpack, you're right. We don't even understand our justice system, and that's why we're over here doing true crime, because we don't understand it either. Some people get some things that they don't deserve, and others get things that they do deserve or don't, that we don't feel they do. And then the other people get off where there's other people that are in prison that shouldn't be, and then they get released after 30 years. Our justice system is broken.
DNA evidence this DNA evidence has come back as a match tied to a home invasion and an assault of a young girl in Los Angeles this past March. Unfortunately, that suspect has not been positively identified, but he did leave behind his DNA.
Okay, well, that was then, but this is now. Listen.
Our investigative genetic genealogy team in Baltimore worked countless hours to identify the suspect by using crime scene DNA and tracing that DNA to potential family members.
They did.
Investigators even traveled to El Salvador as part of their
you.
efforts to identify this killer. To find the suspect, we provided technical assistance, helping to pinpoint his location. And that brings us to last night, where Tulsa police and FBI agents were able to successfully apprehend and arrest the suspect in Oklahoma.
Joining right now, high-profile defense attorney Matthew Mangino, former prosecutor and author of The Executioner's Toll, Crimes, Arrests, Trials, Appeals, Last Meals, Final Words of Executed People, 46 of them in the U.S. Matthew Mangino, why is it that all I hear all day long is whine, whine, whine about police? They didn't do this. They didn't do that. They screwed this up. They screwed that up. It's constant. But here you have LA law enforcement literally tracking this guy all the way to El Salvador and then to LA and finally nailing him in Tulsa. Can they get just a little bit of credit for once?
Well, no, this is truly great police work to be able to connect these dots and make an arrest in this.
She smashes him right now. He says, connect the dots. And she's like, connect the dots. That's what children do, is connect the dots. It's very funny how she talks to her guests. And when I have guests, I'm always very like, be careful what you say. Let them talk. It's Nancy Grace status.
And be able to match this
Wait, did you
person
just
with
say
DNA.
connect the dots? Like one of those children's games, you know, like you give them that sheet to play with at the restaurant with a pack of crayons and you connect the dots. Connect the dots, my rear end. This is back-breaking work between Maryland, Bel Air, Maryland, LA, Tulsa, El Salvador. I mean, there's a red notice on this guy. ICE had to be involved. This was a huge, huge and complex undertaking.
Right. And I'm sure they had somewhere on a wall these little pins connecting the dots as they went along putting this case together. And unfortunately, I don't think this is the end of this case. So you have a guy who's been here since February of 2023. He's crossed the country from Los Angeles to Maryland, now, you know, found in Tulsa. He's covered a lot of ground. And unfortunately, I think we're going to find that he has, you know, created havoc and probably is murdered others or raped others. I mean, this is a very dangerous person that is on the move. And when you're on the move like that, the reason you do it is because you're looking for other victims. And unfortunately, I think we're going to find that that's the case here.
You know, it was amazing to me, to Alexis Tereszczuk, what cops were doing in the background. All we could see was we were looking through a glass.
They did a really good job of this. 10 months isn't that long to track somebody that's all the way across the country and moves around the way he did. So, and he looks different in every single picture. It's only been 10 months, but he looks a lot different in all the pictures. And I'm surprised he has so many pictures. I wonder if they pulled a lot of these pictures from his phone and it was him doing selfies or him saying, can you take a picture of me? Can you imagine this no teeth having night stalker breath guy saying, can you take a picture of me standing over here? Because where'd they get all those pictures from?
It's darkly. And I remember specifically what Rachel's mom told me. Listen.
At one point, when things seemed like really bleak and hopeless, the lead detective said to me, he said, patience will win in the end.
Maybe
And
we'll see. Huh?
that's what they've been doing. They've been diligently working very hard, and they've been patiently working through all the leads. And it's because of that that we have an arrest today. So I'm very thankful and just very grateful.
That's Rachel's mom speaking. Alexis, remember when we talked to her and she was just so distraught, but she never lost faith in law enforcement. So they.
Yeah, no one president is going to stop all crime, folks. If I was to Google right now, President Trump, when he was the president in a 4-year period time frame, I guarantee you there are going to be murders, blood on his hands from illegals that came in. So it doesn't matter which, at this point, just don't argue with each other. You guys can talk politics and chat. I don't care. But no one president is going to save us. The only person that's going to save us ever is whatever your higher power is. God, Jesus Christ, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want to call it. The higher power is the only person that's ever going to save us now and in the afterlife, not some person that has done bad things that even lives, because we all do bad things. But you can go back and look, and RJ's right. These people act like the president is God. They're not. They're not going to stop any of this. It's going to continue. You're just going to hear a lot of volume from them. All right. So I'm not on any side. I don't care if you talk politics. Just be nice to each other.
Must have been telling her along what was happening. And they go to her 5 hours before the takedown and say, we're telling you, we're going to try to do this thing. We think we know where he is. Just hold tight. That mother has been through hell, Alexis.
Yes.
And the thing was, all we had was the video. So there was the connection to Los Angeles, right? We had a video of a man coming shirtless out of a home and casually walking away. See?
Yeah.
With carrying his shirt, carrying the clothes that he
the lady
clearly
closes
taken
the
off when he
door.
attacked a 9-year-old. So that's all we had.
Look,
But the police
watch.
he left so much DNA with
She
Rachel.
closes the door.
which
You can see her
is
hand.
terrible, but is a blessing because she helped solve her own crime.
There you
But
go.
they knew that there must be a family connection.
There you go, folks. The man above is the higher power. There's no sexuality connected to it. It's not a man. Jesus Cristo, Ayahuasca, Jehovah, whatever you want to call it. The higher power above. There's only one God, and that is not anybody that's walking on this earth right now. I guarantee you. There's the devil that's walking on the earth, and lots of them. And we've got the teeth crew here. We got Richard Ramirez, we've got Wade Wilson, and we've got this guy, Antonio Martinez, Jose, Juan, whatever the hell his name is. Every Mexican name, Venezuelan name in the book. There you go. And his teeth.
And I'm wondering if that's what happened in Tulsa as well, because he was caught in a bar. The police found him literally sitting in a bar, kind of, I guess, went up right next to him, maybe like, hey, can we buy you a drink? And then arrested him in a bar in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
In a bar, probably looking for his next victim. And very quickly, I want to go back to Chris McDonough, director of Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective. This is how it goes down, okay? Chris McDonough, first of all, you look at the victim's family and loved ones, because that's typically, statistically, where you're going to find your killer. Husband, boyfriend, ex, lover. Then you move out. Grocery delivery guy, pizza delivery guy, next door neighbor, creepy high school teacher. You keep going and going and going.
Right.
You expand that circle. When you exhaust the circle, family, lovers, boyfriends, freaky connections, then you go to DNA. Now, this guy's DNA pops up in a rape and an attack in LA. So they know they've got that guy, but he doesn't match anybody in CODIS, the DNA data bank. So we know his DNA has never been handed over as it relates to a felony in this country. And that is when you have to bring in the FBI. Okay. We had his sketch. There was a possibility he was in this country illegally. Then they go to genealogical.
And there you go. There was the sketch that they made from him and the women that he attacked, the 9-year-old and the mother that he attacked in California. And then Rachel Morin was all the way across the country, folks. Marilyn McRae's right. And this is not what you said, but most cases are somebody you know. That's why they always look at the spouse, the boyfriend, the kids, the whatever. Stranger on stranger crimes are terrifying, and most of those stranger on stranger crimes are serial killers. So yeah, that's very terrifying. And this is what he looked like, and he had a hat on, and he left that hat at the crime scene. Can I buy you a drink? A shitty tap jail water. Yeah, that sketch could be anyone until you match it up, and then you say, okay, at least the DNA matches. That sketches, they do that. And one of the episodes I was watching, they match it up. But other than that, it could be anyone. Look at the Delphi case. God forbid that. I don't even want to talk about the Delphi case. It's Clue season. Became a member. Thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. I hope you're here for the long haul.
DNA. The FBI International Office in El Salvador was used to, quote, bridge the gap with U.S. law enforcement. Now, that's what we're learning today. What exactly does that mean? FBI in El Salvador, quote, bridged the gap.
Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. What it means
And
is,
his
so the FBI makes contact probably with a direct family member in El Salvador. They do a buccal swab, and immediately they can put that into the system. They get that CODIS hit. Again, there's a system called ANDI, A-N-D-I, and it's a rapid DNA process. Once they get that profile, what was interesting to hear the FBI agent say, there was also technical assistance. What I took away from that, hearing that, was they probably may have gotten a phone number or something to that effect, and immediately the CAS team gets involved. And for all we know at this point, they may have even trapped his phone. And that's where the other units got involved. But one of the other things I think we're going to hear here, Nancy, and the sheriff had mentioned it, not to get ahead of you here for a moment, but just in case, is the HIDA team. That's high impact drug trafficking.
Yeah, he's also doing that, folks. And Giselle, YouTube is being weird right now. I'll be back on. If I don't come on later, I'll be back tomorrow night at 7:30 with Mr. Strategic, the Strategic Eyes, who's a New York police officer. You can try it again. YouTube, this episode started off very rough because YouTube did all sorts of weird things on my side as well. So that you're going to be part of the crime crew before next week when a crime crew official next week when we have our Lisk serial killer conversation.
That means this guy was on the radar of HIDA. And was he a mule for the cartels? And this is why he's traveling through the country. HIDA is very important to pay attention to in this investigation.
Explain.
Well, because if he's come onto the radar through HIDA, that means they may have already had pre-incident contact with this guy on other types of crimes, i.e. narcotics investigations or something to that effect. The fact that the sheriff mentioned them the other day as a partner who assisted in this case, that threw me a red flag that, okay, this guy had been in this country. And now that big question is, what was he doing? Was he running dope? Was he working for somebody? And maybe this is what gave him the availability to travel around the United States and how he ended up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Outrage. This guy is in the country having murdered, allegedly, one person in El Salvador, then sex assaulted a 9-year-old little girl, attacking the rest of her family in LA before he murders Rachel Morin. I want to go out to a special guest joining us now, Dr. Kendall Crowns, Chief Medical Examiner, Tarrant County, Fort Worth, lecturer at the Burnett School of Medicine at TCU, Texas Christian University. Dr. Crowns, thank you for being with us. We've talked a lot about...
And before we get into our next segment, this is why I love the crime crew. You all know about true crime. You know it's serious. You know we're here for the victims. You know we're here for justice. I come on here so I can make new friends, get new contacts, and do good things. So thank you, Synth Server, for making me laugh. You saw the lady on here earlier that said she was close to this crime and she can give me information. We're currently working on getting Dr. Thomas Andrew from the Corey Mitchell case. I've already spoken with him once. Thank you to Jess, not the mama, for getting me in touch. And we're trying to get an episode with Bree Mitchell and Dr. Thomas so he could break it down for us about Corey Mitchell and she can thank him. So we're here not to just play around, but we're here to make light of things when we can, but also for justice. And I also have to be on here to network. So meeting people, networking, and bringing justice for you while having a good time with each other. So I thank you all for being here and being such a cool group here. Ellie doesn't drop that often. Haida. Yeah, they don't drop that often. Thank you. I appreciate that, Marilyn. And things are working in a good fashion for me. And I appreciate how fast the response has been. That guy always looks high AF. Something's wrong with his eyes. I don't know what that is. Watch him.
Out DNA. And we're throwing around the term deoxyribonucleic acid, mitochondrial DNA. But for people that are not in law enforcement, I want to explain, and you're the best in the world to give this tutorial in regular people talk, please. As if you're speaking to a trial lawyer like myself that does not have a medical degree like you do. How was Rachel Morin's body found? And why did her body reveal DNA? And what is mitochondrial DNA, which is what I believe they got on the scene in LA from a tap?
So Rachel Morin's body was found nude with her face caved in from a blunt object. So more than likely she was strangled. Then while she was unconscious, she was raped. And then when she regained consciousness, because he didn't finish off the strangulation, he beat her to death with a rock or a stick or whatever was nearby. That being said, the DNA that would be on her body could be from his saliva, could be from his skin cells, could be from his hair follicles, as well as semen. So at autopsy, they can collect all these by doing a sexual assault kit, by using swabs to swab the orifices, to swab potential areas on the skin that may have DNA.
The investigators fear that we're going to stumble across another crime that just hasn't been tied back through DNA or some other science or electronic, tie that the evidence just hasn't reach the point where we get a hit. But right now, what we're familiar with is the crime in Los Angeles, the home invasion in March of 2023, the homicide here of Rachel in August of 2023. And I believe in Tulsa, he's facing some local charges as well for last night. I think trespassing or disorderly or something to that effect.
I can't believe that.
Let's break it down. How did they find this guy? How did they find this non-citizen migrant? I was listening very carefully and taking notes to a news conference where an FBI special agent in charge of the FBI Baltimore's field office, Bill DeBagno, he was speaking, and I'm going to quote his words that I wrote down. He said, a quote, investigative genetic genealogy team. Genetic genealogy is one of the most advanced types of genetic DNA.
Yes, and I am all for genetic genealogy. This guy's going to come on and talk about it in a second. And that's what I wanted to highlight today is the genetic genealogy. If that's the only thing that sticks in your head today and you don't know about this case, just think about genetic genealogy when you're watching other true crime cases, when people get caught. Use your common sense and logic. If you're committing a crime, don't commit a crime, especially one heinous like this. But genetic genealogy, it really, truly, I believe, is a great science that has locked up many people in this world that need to be locked up. So please, if that's the only thing that you get out of today, let's listen to this.
Discovery that is being used. Now, this is what you may recall. Do you remember Joseph D'Angelo, aka the Golden State Killer?
Yes, and I said that way before. I always refer to the Golden State Killer when it comes to genetic genealogy. I thought she was going to say non-citizen migrant ass mother. That's what I thought she was going to say, but then she said non-citizen migrant is, yeah. I thought she was going to start cussing. His non-citizen migrant ass mother. She didn't go that far.
Huge breakthrough in the use of genetic genealogy. Same thing with Brian Kohberger. That's a great example. They find the DNA on the knife sheath. Hey, this is your case, Chris McDonough. And you were there on the ground at the get-go in that one. They find the DNA on the knife sheath under one of the four victims' bodies. They don't know matching CODIS. So they do genetic genealogy. They find Kohberger's father, and then they wait for him to leave behind, discard something with his DNA on it. They get that.
Yep.
They do the same thing with Kohberger himself. I'm making a very short story out of a very long story. And that's how they bust him. And that's what happened here. You heard what the FBI special agent, Bill DeBagno, said. An investigative genetic genealogy team worked to ID the suspect, and investigators went to El Salvador. What does that tell me? One of his family's members had a record and had given DNA.
Yeah, no, and you're 1,000% right, as always, Nancy, where in the Cobra thing, obviously they grabbed some trash. In this case, they were onto this guy. They could smell it. They went and spent the money to send the FBI team down there. And not only was it the field office probably down there, but they probably sent the agents directly from DC, from the lab, to pull this DNA. So they knew that they were crossing all the T's and dotting the I's. Because,
So same thing. They pulled out some trash from Kohberger's, and same thing with this, how they got the DNA from the hat, and then they put it into the CODIS system, and they found somebody that had committed a crime that was in this guy's family. And I do Summer Wells cases. Go look at my playlist, Jamie. Yeah, they think he was trafficking drugs, and that's how he was traveling around. That's where he got the money from, Lorraine. All right.
Obviously, when you're dealing with an international case like this, you certainly do not want to run up against it in court. And so once they got that, I think it turned into a technical case at that point, because we also hear that FBI agent say, with some technical assistance. And that tells me, they're out there now that they've got this potential name to this DNA. Let's find this guy's phone. So they went back to LA, I suspect, and they did a grid, a geographic grid in relationship to the phones that pinged that night. And then they went on the hunt for that technical piece and that device that I suspect he probably still had on him in Oklahoma.
Hey, Matthew Mangino, high-profile lawyer, joining us out of the Lawrence County jurisdiction. You've handled a lot of cases like this. We keep seeing sketches of him in that hat. What do you want to bet he still had a hat like that in his possession?
Oh, I'm sure that he did. That's kind of his shtick. I mean, he's gonna have that. He's gonna have that hat. If he loses his hat, he's going out and get another one that looks like that. That's all part of his.
Yeah, he left the hat there. I'm sure he got another one. Random question. If there were updates on Sebastian, I would do it. It's just a bunch of drama at this point. They did find a bone near at the work site of Chris Proudfoot, but it was a bone that hasn't been tested, I believe. If someone could correct me, I don't think Sebastian, it would be an old bone by now. And then a bunch of speculation about Chris Proudfoot. He's still going on channels and yelling at everybody. So no updates. And Jamie, I have so many tattoos, I can't count them. Hello, Rosalie Libario. I'm going to finish this up in this segment, and then we'll get out of here. Thank you for being here.
The way he likes to present himself. The thing that's alarming here, Nancy, about this case is, was he in some way sort of on the radar of the FBI or anybody else because of his involvement with gangs or drug distribution, things like that. And so you wonder, was he part of another investigation that was going on unrelated to these crimes that we've been talking about this morning? And, it's always a, woulda, coulda, shoulda, was it possible because he was here illegally to have been taken off the streets earlier? So those are always concerns that you have when you're involved in, other sort of high profile investigations of international drug trade and things like that.
I noticed that Sheriff Galler does not mind calling out the White House. This is what he says. I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is, of course, the White House, and to every member in both chambers of Congress. He's not picking Republicans or Democrats. He's calling everybody out. He says,
exactly.
We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This guy.
And I appreciate him saying that, because it's not about Democrats or Republicans or whatever you are. Doesn't matter. It is about failed policies. And when one president or presidential their campaign hands over the paperwork to the next one, they should still be doing their job right, no matter what they want to label themselves, folks. It just doesn't make any sense. Work with each other instead of against each other.
Is a gang member. There, I said it. He's involved in a gang that is involved in drugs, bringing drugs illegally into our country. Now he's got 2 murder charges and rape charges and assault charges in LA. What more has he done, and why is he here?
So it was midnight our time, and he was hanging out at a business park or a
We've got a little bit more to go, folks. Thank you all for still being here. We've had a consistent about 130 people in chat. I hope there's 130 likes at least. It gets me in the algorithm, so I get more people coming back. Now, I know I threw you all off that I'm not on here at 4 o'clock today, and everybody's going to be like, oh, I missed the live. I'm sorry, but I stayed home today. I didn't go to work. I decided to take the day off and hang out with the kiddo. But my kid is still sleeping. She's 10 going on 13, folks. What do I do? Let her sleep. She's growing. Anyway, that's why I'm doing a midday stream.
Storefront, and the police encountered him, and apparently they were charged of trespassing, and he was identified during that arrest processing.
Okay, they're going to make a lot of hay at that when this thing finally goes to trial. To Matthew Mangino, high-profile lawyer, he was arrested for trespassing. What? Okay, some of the reports are that he's hanging out outside of a bar. Some are that he was sitting in a bar. But the reality is they're going to be able to make out a trespassing case, and his arrest is going to be 100% by the book. They didn't get this far to screw up now, Mangino.
Well, you're right, Nancy. And what you can call this or compare it to is kind of a pretextual stop. So you might have something on somebody that you want to make an arrest. So you follow that person until they make a turn without their turn signal. And that's probable cause to stop that vehicle and to move forward. And this is something similar.
And this is why I come on in the middle of the day, folks. Hello, Carla Langston from Michigan. I come on in the middle of the day so I can get new subscribers that haven't caught me on a live to catch me on a live so I can talk to you and you can see what we're about here, folks. I don't buy my subscribers like some people do. I won't say, but there are some channels that buy subscribers. I didn't even know that was real. January says Congress has blood on their hands. Yeah, I do the algorithm thing and I try to bring good information and be nice to my crime crew that's here and treat you guys right. So that's why I come during the middle of the day sometimes to just catch people that don't know about me. If you know her, she is, let her sleep. I say exactly. And she's in her room sleeping like a little beautiful angel. Juror 13, one of my other favorite people on this whole entire planet. My kids are on summer break and I've eaten everything except the seasonings. Yes, I am buying almost $400 a week in groceries because my daughter is almost as tall as me and she eats only the best kind of fish. She loves fish.
It's not the most important part of this case by any means, but it is an opportunity to take this person into custody so that you can move forward with the other aspects of the investigation or the ultimate indictment and arrest. But Nancy, one thing that I want to say, about immigration, which I certainly think is sort of the centerpiece here, but there's enough blame to go around. I mean, ultimately, there was an opportunity to make the border more secure earlier this year, and Congress failed to do that. And I think we're always
Okay, Mangino, that's a lot bigger problem. It's
agree.
something
She's
that
like, "Be
me, a
quiet."
trial lawyer, cannot fix. I've got definite opinions about it, but I want to focus on this guy that I believe murdered a mother of 5 and attacked a 9-year-old.
And proud American, I'm with you. Whatever's going to work. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican person. You can say whatever you want. Which party wants to build a wall and close the border? Then do it. Get your ass in here and do it already. I don't care who does it. I just don't want these crimes to keep happening. Crimes are still going to happen, but now we've got I connect Lake and Riley, and I connect Rachel Morin because of what's happening. So, proud American, I'm a proud American with you. I love I love America. I was born and raised in California. I'm not from anywhere else. My family's from here. Everybody's from here. Um, and I love America and I'm proud and I want people to just do what's right. I don't care what you label yourself as. So let's do it.
Old American girl in her home. I mean, Karen Stark, can you just break it down? I don't want to hear a lot of psychobabble, no offense, of course. But this 9-year-old girl will never be the same. Rachel Morin's children will never be the same because this piece of crap was in our country illegally and he murdered Rachel, according to the DNA.
Real talk.
You're right, Nancy, and they will never recover from this because this is trauma. So she didn't die of natural causes, which would have been difficult enough. How do we get through something like that? But they know absolutely that she was murdered. They know details. Her face was smashed in. The person planned it very carefully, and they are traumatized for the rest of their life. So this is a horrendous situation. And believe me, I will be shocked if they don't find more instances where this has occurred because this
Exactly. And I want to talk about the brutality inflicted on Rachel. Dr. Kendall Crowns joining me, Chief Medical Examiner, Fort Worth. Never lack a business there. Dr. Kendall Crowns, I'm thinking.
Keep in mind, this is a chief medical examiner, so I can imagine he's a little weird. He's got those bones in the back, which is kind of funny. We always want to hear about the medical examiner and what they have to say. And that's who I'm trying to get on the show is Dr. Thomas Andrew, who was the medical examiner in the Corey Mitchell case. But let's listen to what he has to say. It was very brutal what this guy did. He didn't have to go that far, but he's evil.
About her face, her beautiful and very delicate face.
Yep.
Being bashed in so badly that half of her face was practically gone. Can you tell in an autopsy if she was beaten, bludgeoned that way in life or post-mortem?
Yes, you can tell. There's usually when you're still alive and being beaten, you will.
Oh, wow. So he's going to tell us if she was alive when that happened right now. And Christine, yeah, I live in the Bay Area of California, though. I'm in Silicon Valley, and it's way too expensive to be bringing bus loads of people. So it's a lot further down south. I know where Barstow is. They can't even afford to live here in a tent, fortunately for us. But there are a lot of homeless people here. And Biden now has the ability to close the border. He had to do it through executive order because Trump told Congress not to pass the bipartisan bill so he can campaign on it. Fact. Thank you, Petty Mason. I welcome all talk as long as we all respect each other. Thank you for that knowledge. And I love facts.
Get hemorrhage or bruising or redness of the skin associated with the injuries because it's a reaction of the tissues to the damage. In post-mortem case, when they continue to beat you or the injuries happen after death, there's no beating heart, so you don't get the hemorrhage that you see with living wounds.
We don't have any clue where he could be. We don't even know if he's still in Harford County or in the state of Maryland, because obviously
we do
in
now.
March he was in California, and then here in August he was here in Maryland. So we don't know if he's still here or not.
That was then. This is now. Busted. Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez in custody. At that time, Colonel Davis saying he could be anywhere, like a needle in a haystack. That's over. He is in custody. And if police, law enforcement have their way, he will die in a Maryland prison. They don't have the death penalty, but they do have life without parole. And this is what I'm understanding, Alexis Tereshchuk. He has also been traced to Virginia. Virginia. I wonder if there are any unsolved rapes and female homicides. If you notice, all of his victims are people that are less powerful than he is, less cunning. So I would be looking at murdered and assaulted females in the Virginia area. I think this is the tip of the iceberg, Alexis.
Absolutely, because there are lots of unsolved crimes around all of these areas of Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, Washington, D.C., all right there. And that's there's perhaps a connection there. And then in Oklahoma, if he's been in Oklahoma.
When I did the Lake and Riley case, I used this background. I also love America, and I just want the right things to happen, especially in this country, because that's where we live, folks. It's where we live. It's where we go on vacation. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's where our families live. People with no conscience, brutal, empty. Yeah. I'm in not the Bay Area. I'm in San Jose, Silicon Valley, where Facebook is, where Google is. I'm right around Google and Facebook area. Beautiful woman. I grew up in the Bay Area. It used to be beautiful. We moved to Florida when I was a teenager. My dad is in the Air Force. Yeah. A lot of people can't afford California either nowadays. And I don't not like anybody. I don't know who we're talking about. I just want justice. I like cheese. Yeah, I like cheese. I like melted cheese. I like microwave cheese. And I like justice for people. That's all. I don't have a preference about, I just want good things to happen to good people and bad things to happen to these monsters.
For any amount of time, he is for sure to have probably committed a crime there. And then how did he get from Los Angeles to Maryland and then to Oklahoma? Like, did he get a plane, or was he driving across country and stopping and committing crimes all the way along the way? And somebody was harboring him. Somebody was keeping him safe. He was living somewhere. I don't believe anyone has ever said that he was homeless, not, living on the street or anything. So I think there are other people that could be prosecuted for this as well, for helping him.
Yeah, again, that's who's protecting him. A lot of people have said, what's the motive? Listen.
We may learn more about, was it just an opportunity because he was on the trail when, unfortunately she decided to go out exercising that day, or was it something more specific? As to the motive, we've been tight-lipped, I guess, about it. The charges in the case are first-degree murder and first-degree rape.
Why? Ask why. It took me about 5 years prosecuting violent felonies. And I remember the moment looking over at a defendant in the courtroom thinking, why? Why would you do this? And
yeah, Nancy Grace has a past. It was her fiance that his life was taken. Microwave cheese is just cheese. That's microwave. My daughter eats that. She says, Mom, can you make me some cheese in the microwave? I don't know. I like cheese. Cheese is cheese, folks. You guys are funny. This whole chat. Macaroni and cheese. Mad expensive. Great. You guys are funny.
Leave this
Happy
huge trail
Friday.
of pain behind you. And then it hit me in the head. Why? Ask why. Why does a wolf rip out the throat of a rabbit? Because he's a predator. and doesn't think twice about the pain and suffering he causes other people, including not only Rachel Morin, but her mother, her family, her 5 children, a 9-year-old girl in LA, her family. None of these crime victims' families will ever be the same. You're going down, man, and you're staying down. Let's stop and remember an American hero, police officer.
Oh, she always does that. Okay, we're going to stop that. We do that on every episode. I don't know if you guys are all still here. I do have another clip I want to play. If everyone is still here, there's no reason to get off yet and then come back on. But I wish I would have. I wish more people would have known that I was going to be on here at this time. I'm going to play a little bit of this. I queued it up for you all. It was actually, did it even come on here? Anyway, there's still people on here. There was a we did the family speaking out, but there's also, we didn't see Rachel Morin's mom speaking out, folks. You guys didn't see that, did you? Anyway, who saw Rachel Morin's mom speaking out? You said, Adam, I love you. You're my guy. You are my guy. If you're ever in the Bay Area, let me know. If you ever come around this area or you're in Napa, we also have a place in Napa. Let me know. Listen to Rachel's mom speak out about this. It's very sad. We haven't seen her mom yet. I'm packing all of this into one since I missed it
So full
before.
of life and so compassionate and loving and kind. And she was such a good mom, loved her children.
Rachel Morin's mother, remembering her as the man accused of raping and murdering her daughter, arrives in Maryland. Hattie Morin talks about Rachel, the investigation, and finding out a suspect had been captured. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. Victor Martinez-Hernandez is back in Harford County, Maryland, to answer to charges that he raped and murdered Rachel Morin. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, nabbed Martinez-Hernandez last Friday night after a 10-month effort to identify him. Shortly after Rachel was murdered off the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland last August, the Harford County Sheriff said DNA from a home invasion in Los Angeles matched DNA found at the crime scene where Rachel was murdered. Detectives had his DNA, and they had him on video, but not his face, just his side profile and his back. They didn't know his name or where he was. And despite being accused of committing such a violent crime, his DNA was not in CODIS. That's the FBI's DNA database of known felons. But using DNA technology, with the help of the FBI and Othram Labs, the sheriff says they found the suspect.
Because we've been asked who's going to get the $35,000 reward. The tip didn't come from the public. It actually came as a lead. And yes, it's tied to the DNA.
Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor says Martinez-Hernandez crossed into the United States illegally in February of 2023, the month before he's accused of killing a woman in his native El Salvador.
So he came right over here right after he did that and then started committing murders. And thank you, Petty Mason, for Vote Facts. Yeah, you guys could all talk about, I mean, this is a political case. It's just what it is. And I want to hear Rachel's mom speak when she speaks
in
on
March
here.
of 2023, police in Los Angeles say Martinez-Hernandez attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in their home, leaving his DNA at the scene. And then
Me
in
too.
August of last year, Sheriff Gaylor says Martinez-Hernandez laid in wait along the Ma and Pa Trail and attacked Rachel Morin as she walked on the trail on a Saturday evening. It was something
That
she had
sucks.
done since she was
It
a
was
young child.
evening.
This is another law and crime legal alert. Have you experienced severe gastro
No.
after
There's
the
her
news
mom.
that they arrested the suspect in Rachel's murder?
All right, folks, that's Rachel's mom, and she's going to be traumatized forever. I wonder if she's taking care of any of the 5 children. I know one of them's probably going to go with the dad. I don't know who the other dads are, but this lady has a big burden on her no matter how you look at it.
I am feeling very sad, but at the same time relieved. For the last 10 months, we didn't know if we would even have some kind of a resolution.
That sounds like my house.
So I'm
Here.
grateful. I'm relieved. I feel safer knowing that this person has been arrested, but I feel sad, the grief all over again because it's,
Yeah, she had just met the love of her life. It was her fiance, the guy that you saw in the picture. And they suspected him at first because they always look at a spouse and significant other. So they looked at him hardcore, and then they realized they found her out on the track, and they realized that somebody had attacked her and did that it wasn't him.
recognizing that, yes, truly, My daughter has passed, and law enforcement suspect
That's right.
that this is the person that has committed that crime. And so it's a jumble of emotions.
Yeah, most certainly, and that's understandable. I know that law enforcement, it seemed like they were hitting a lot of dead ends there for a while because they had the DNA profile. They were then able to link it to another crime in Los Angeles, the home invasion. They had the guy on video, and they just weren't able to put a name with that face and that DNA profile. And I know that they went through the FBI and they did the genetic genealogy, and they were finally able to identify him. You said that you were, there were times where you felt like maybe they weren't going to find the person. So that had to have been a relief, I guess, when the sheriff called you on Friday, I believe is what he said at the press conference. So when he called
Yes.
you, what did he say?
He called and asked if I could come down, that they wanted to have a meeting. And it was actually a group of the top men that had been working on Rachel's case. And they showed me a picture of the suspect and that he had.
I just gifted 5 memberships, folks. So for those of you that don't have a membership and want a membership, haven't gotten a membership or can't afford a membership, make sure you're opted in to get one. 5 people today will have a membership, and you can be next week with the Crime Crew on a members only live stream. Thank you. Thank you for being here in the middle of the day, which is now not the middle of the day. It's almost 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock in other places in the East Coast, which a lot of you are.
Been apprehended. And I have to tell you, I didn't believe him, because I had gotten to the place where I assumed that we possibly might not find Rachel's suspected murderer. And so I was preparing myself for the long haul, so to speak. And to have them say, we believe we have arrested the suspect, we have DNA. It was like, it was unbelievable. So I was relieved. I was
her poor mom.
Disbelief. But then I felt so grateful and so thankful that even though I felt.
Oh, she did speak at the press conference, and she does look broken, folks. I heard somebody in the background say, I heard the guy say, Adam, I bet you she is taking care of some of those children. Hello, Misty Free Spirit. It's always good to see you. Yes, very sad, beautiful girl. I'm glad they caught the suspect. I have been waiting for this for 10 months, folks. I follow true crime all the time. That might have rhymed, but I'm constantly following the cases, and now I'm covering them.
Hopeless. And I think at times they felt, hopeless that they might not find the leads that connect, that they were very forward moving, and they persevered, and they worked every little tip. Like literally they had hundreds and thousands of tips, and they worked every one. And so I'm so grateful that they did that. Like, so grateful.
Sheriff Gaylor said he kind of asked you to keep that under your hat, to not say anything about it. Was that difficult? I mean, obviously they wanted you to be the first to know, but they still had to track the suspect and capture him, which they did. And I guess he was sitting in a bar in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they find him and put the cuffs on him.
Yeah, we knew that they had identified the person, but at the time they hadn't located him. And so it wasn't, for me personally, it wasn't difficult to keep it to myself. And the reason why was because I really wanted them to find the suspect and capture him. And all along this process, there are things that have been shared that we've kept to ourselves and not shared publicly. And it's because we want to preserve the integrity of the investigation, because this is just the first step in months.
It is. And I want to say bye to M. Have a good afternoon. Catch you later. If not, you'll come back tomorrow, I'm sure. Have a good evening. If you want to message me later, please do. Send me some pictures of your cats.
Long hearings and things that are going to go forward. And we don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt the process in any way.
It's so unnatural. Parents are not supposed to lose their children, and they're not supposed to lose them like this. What do you want people to know about Rachel?
Thank you.
Gosh. Think about the person in your life
if there's a person in your life that is like a friend that sticks closer than a brother or sister, or
Thank you.
can
Appreciate
read
you.
you sometimes better than you can read yourself, and will just say the right word at the right time. Or if you're feeling sorry for yourself, snap out of
Appreciate
it. Someone who is just, it's like her whole being just lights up. And she was just so full of life and so compassionate and loving and kind. And she was such a good mom, loved her children. Her heart was just so filled with love. And I don't want people to take the element of an illegal immigrant and run with that story.
Right.
I want them to know who she was as a person, because, without breath, none of us are anything.
And I wanted to play this because I did see a note from the mom. Thank you again, Bertie Seraphine, for the super sticker, $5 super sticker. All helps. What's up, hide and seek, and everyone in chat? I wanted you to hear that her mom does not want it to be a political thing. She wants it to be a justice thing, and to get justice. She doesn't want her daughter just to be, in the mix of this political, Trump 2024 and all this stuff. Let's just make the system work. How about that?
Our life is very important, and she was very important to so many people. And I want people to remember her. Politics come and go, but people's lives and the impact that they have on us personally, we carry with us the rest of our life. And she has made an impact on so many people. I mean, when we did the walk, when we first heard about, her passing, there was over 2,000 people from the town that we lived in that came out. It was such a community thing because she impacted so many people. And it would be, I'd have people come up to me and say, I didn't know her personally, but I saw her buy coffee at the local store, and she would always smile and say hi to me. So it's even those little things that we think are normal or just unimportant things in our life, they still have an impact on somebody else. And that's the kind of person she was. She had an impact on so many people in so many ways, even in the little details. And so I just want people to remember her for that she had a life that was well lived because she lived it for others.
She had 5 kids. I mean, how?
Yeah, that's a huge deal. She had 5 kids, and hopefully her mom answers some of those questions now. I'm curious what is going to happen with them, who's going to raise them, where are they going to go, and the world's not the same anymore. I remember being in Los Angeles when Richard Ramirez was out, the Night Stalker. We lived in Los Angeles when he was out on a murder spree, and that's when you stopped leaving your windows open. You couldn't leave your windows open in the dead of heat in summer, folks. And we also used to leave our doors unlocked until Richard Ramirez came in the 80s. So remember the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez in California. We lived in Los Angeles. That's when leaving windows open and doors locked stopped for us.
How are the children doing? Because I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine being in your position, but then the kids,
Yes, exactly.
all dealing with losing their mother.
They're having, they have a lot of support, but they're having a difficult time.
That is.
Because, the different ages process truth or reality in different ways. Like when you're younger, you might not understand abstract thinking. It's more concrete. Right. And so I think as they get older, it's going to be an ongoing thing for the next few years, that they're going to be processing things in new ways as they grow and mature. But for now, it's very hard for them because they were close to their mom. And she was like sunshine to them. Like her son, she would take him to his football practice, and she would encourage him, and she'd call him her little man. You know what I mean?
Know.
So those things are, they're missed. There'll be sweet memories in the future, but right now I think it's a process, of grieving and working through the sorrow.
And I'm sorry to you, Christine Comstock. That's terrible. God bless you and your family for going through that. I don't know about the children. They also had fathers, so I'm thinking the children may have gone with the dad. Maybe the grandma's raising some of them. I'm not sure. She hasn't talked about that.
I know that is typically a very safe community where you live, and a lot of people walk on that trail. It's just so heartbreaking to me that the way that this happened. And you mentioned the, this political aspect or what has become politicized about her case. But the fact that this suspect was here, they say that he killed another young woman in El Salvador and then came here. He's suspected of attacking a woman and her daughter in LA. And then, of course, he's accused of taking Rachel's life.
Yeah.
Do you have any feelings about that you'd like to share? Because there is a problem, obviously. You mentioned earlier that this is the second person in your county who's died in a similar way like this. So do you have any feelings about that you would like to share?
I think that you would be a fool to deny that there is a problem at the southern border. I mean, there's evidence all around the country. It's not just in Maryland, and it's not just my daughter and this woman that lost her life, a little over a year ago, but it's, in Georgia. There are countless other women across the United States, some that have been reported, some that don't hit the news. But Maryland is almost 2,000 miles away from the southern border. And they've made their way up to our community. And when my kids were little, we walked that trail every day. We've lived near the trail for like the last 20 years. It's a very safe community. And so to have this happen was extremely unheard of. Like it shook all of us. And I think that
I feel like YouTube's definitely having problems today, folks. If your comments aren't coming through, I apologize. I can't do anything for YouTube. It's really weird. It's like being glitchy. I hope you can still see me okay.
the communities across the United States are like ours, and they are feeling similar feelings of restlessness and not feeling safe. So I think that this is more than just a political party. I think it's an American issue because it encompasses the whole of the United States. I mean, we have bust. I think I looked online, dear old Google. I think there's 10 million, over 10 million are illegally in our country in the last 4 years. And that's not even the ones that have slipped through that are not accounted for. And so to have that amount of, not that all of them are criminals, but to have that amount of people in our country, and we don't know who they are, where they're from, I think is a safety issue. I mean, common sense would tell you, protect your citizens. So I'm trying not to.
It would be a safety issue no matter what country you were in.
And it's just common sense. If you have your home, you close your doors, you lock.
And this is coming from a woman that just lost her daughter, folks. Thank you, Carla. I can see and hear you. It's really weird right now that it started off rocky. YouTube did 11 p.m. in London. Wow. Your Friday night is almost over. YouTube has been having major issues this week. It happens. Yeah, it does. And sometimes StreamYard does too. But this poor lady, if you can't get past what she's saying, she just lost a daughter and she's telling people come together. Let's just make it work. And it's an American issue. It's not, a political thing. Gotta listen to this lady.
Your windows, you protect the people in your home. It should be the same way in our cities, our towns, our country. Doesn't that make sense?
It most certainly does. On Thursday, Patty Morin's attorney announced that former President Trump had called
There you
Patty
go,
to offer his
folks.
condolences. In a statement, Patty Morin said she was touched by his kindness and that his words brought her comfort. I mean, you're at the beginning of what will likely be a very long process. The sheriff has made his thoughts known on what he would like to happen to the suspect in this case. What would you like to see happen? I mean, with the charges he is facing, if he's convicted, eventually he will likely never get out of prison.
We hope so.
I
actually wish they can just do the firing squad on somebody like this, folks. He went to Venezuela and disrespected his country and took somebody's life, and then came over here, took Rachel Morin's life, and then he assaulted a mom and her daughter that are 9 years old. He essayed them. Just give him the firing squad. Save all of the taxpayers' money. Hello, Hannah W. How are you? I'm sure Biden he did. Biden called, right? Trump called, and then Biden called from the White House. So they're both definitely making it a political thing, of course. Of course.
I'm actually glad that we do not have the death penalty in Maryland, but for this reason only. This person, if convicted, will probably have life in prison, but he will still be alive, and he will have time to potentially change. I mean, he's a young man. He's 23 years old. There's always hope. Until your last breath, there's hope.
What a
And my
beautiful
hope is
lady.
that maybe he will see. We don't know why he is the way that he is. Maybe it's cultural. Maybe it's
Wow.
the way he was raised. Like, I don't know. But
Interesting.
I'm glad that there isn't going to be 2 deaths out of this, because life is very precious and valuable. We've already lost my daughter. I don't want another person to lose their life when they.
What a good person she is. And yeah, an exceptional mother, Marilyn McRae says. I agree. She must follow a higher power. That's all I can say. She must have a relationship with God. She must pray. She must be some sort of spiritual person to be able to talk like this and say these type of things about somebody that did something so heinous to her daughter. That's the only way that I can imagine somebody saying that is somebody that has a relationship with God or the higher power, which I agree with. That's the only way to get through things sometimes is with a higher power. Wow, what a woman.
They have a chance to maybe turn around, even if it is in prison the rest of their life. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it's very gracious and magnanimous of you, given what he's accused of doing to your daughter and what you've been through and the rest of your family. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well,
Thank you,
I
Patty.
want to thank you for this time. I appreciate it. I'm still processing the news. So at the moment, I'm just feeling really sad.
We're almost done here, folks. We're going to listen to the rest, and then we will all have a happy Friday night, won't we?
I'm sure as time passes, I'll probably get really angry and just work through some of the other things. But I just want people to take notice of the people that are in your life and
Thank
to
you,
just
Jamie.
value them and spend time with them, because you never know when it's going to be the last time.
Absolutely.
One of the things, this will be my last thought. One of the things that we practice in our family was every time someone would come into the house, we would hug and kiss each other and say, I love you. I'm glad to see you. And when we left the house, no matter, even if it was just the grocery store and back, we would hug and kiss each other and say, I love you and goodbye, because we didn't want it to be the last time. And we didn't say those words. And that's
do
been a
that
practice in
too.
our family for 40 years.
Us too. That's what we do.
And I think
you
people
never
just need
know.
to value life and appreciate those that they have in their life, because life is very short.
It really is. And I think those are some words of wisdom from you, Patty. Thank you so much for talking with me. I appreciate it.
All right, what a beautiful way to end this episode, folks. You know, we all have different opinions. We all come from different backgrounds. We all just have a great time with each other, and we're learning about true crime. We're learning how to protect ourselves. We talk about serious things, and we talk about heartfelt things sometimes, and that's just a really good way. Yeah, tell your children, your family that you love them. We do that too. Carla does that too. Miracle Hearts. You have a good weekend. I'll be back on here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., which is going to be 10:30 p.m. the Eastern time, and then everybody in the other country, since it is 3:00 and 6:00 over there, I would only be on an hour later anyway. So thank you all for being here today in the middle of the day, hitting the like button, all the gifted memberships, all the super stickers and super chats. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope to see you tomorrow night. It's going to be a crazy good show. I love you too, Christine Comstock. You know what? It's going to be a good show, and it is a Madeline Soto show. And you know how connected I am with the Madeline Soto case. The aunt of Madeline Soto comes on. A lot of people don't know about Tyler Wallace, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to have Strategic on, who's a New York police officer, give his perspective. There's so much tomorrow night that I had to come on tomorrow night and show that. Stacy Michaels, thank you. I hope you become part of the membership Crime Crew official soon. Carla, see you tomorrow. And on that note, justice for Rachel, hashtag, and a bunch of hearts. I love you all. Thank you, Brian and Jill. You guys are amazing. Everyone, you always have an amazing show. We all love you, and we all love you. You're welcome for the membership. And on that note, Sophie, thank you. Blessings to you. You are family. And we will be back tomorrow with another episode. Thank you all. Have a good Friday night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?